Moment to Spotlight, the official podcast of Grapple. I'm Benno.
I'm JP.
I'm Gareth.
And I'm Matty.
We got Matty and Gareth here for the intro to the show, as this is the last proper Spotlight of the year somehow, or at least regular, normal type of specials coming up, because as you've just said in the pre-show, Matt, we were chatting to one of our Kings of the Mountain, Carl, about North Wrestling. To Newcastle. Christmas is basically next week, so yeah. Here on the award season, it's Christmas Film Club season. It's me getting to the shops the day after payday next week season. Let's go. It's podcast season for me and you. We've both got about 7 podcasts next week, so it's that too.
Well, Gareth, what if you name me Gareth? Who am I of the podcast?
You're the Claudia Winkleman of podcasting. You're fucking everywhere. You're on everything.
Working his way in.
Amazing.
Early contender for show title as well.
That's sorted. But yeah, we've got a million things going on over this month. Like I say, we were all at Newcastle at the weekend. So yeah, listen to the pre-show if you want to hear us chat all about that. JP's flights to and from Newcastle, which are a real thing that happened, amongst other things. JP made it in one piece, mate. So that's the most important thing.
Yes,
cracking few pints in Newcastle. Enjoyed the North Wrestling show. Even had some great food at T-Base services as well. But well, that's on the Patreon feed. Oh, and the wheelman. Don't forget the wheelman, Gareth. I saw it in real life. Give him his credit that he deserves. But yeah, not only that going up, we've got a Christmas Film Club coming up because 'tis the season. Yeah, it is the season of special podcast. I think we're gonna do a poll for this one. We're saying, Matty, out of the 4 of us. You know, that's the weird thing. You're not a Christmas film guy. You've been saying to us, although
no,
you loved Jingle All the Way last year.
Yeah, I'm not totally against them, Benno, but it's just like maybe I'm like for Christmas films, but you're like with Halloween. It's like I just don't see the clamour to throw them on. Do you know what I mean? Like, and Steph every night, like, we'll watch any. I watched one the other day, JP, 12 Dates of Christmas with Amy Smart, and I thought, this is going to be good because Zach Morris is in it, Mark-Paul Gosselaar from Saved by the Bell. and I thought, this is going to be good. And it's just basically a remake of Groundhog Day. And then it's just like, yeah, it wasn't good. 1-star special, JP, but, Benno's already got like a little bit of insight into my pick, and you're not happy, are you, Benno?
Oh, we'll get into that. There'll be the new, the Christmas bloodline war between me and you, the Christmas civil war. See, you strike me as a very Christmas person. I was going to ask
I love Christmas, Benno.
You got stuff sorted, You're all set. Is that what they say in work? You're all sorted for Christmas. I started asked that at the end of October, mate, and I haven't even thought about it till the next. I'm in London next weekend. I'll figure some stuff out.
Well,
TV services was an opportunity.
I knew, Benno. I didn't even have to ask if you were sorted because I knew the answer would be no. So I'll waste my breath. You know what I mean?
You say that like you're somebody I had to chase down to get my house key from yesterday because I'd lost mine. Very organised man.
But I'm 90% done. I've only got to get the little bits of chocolate, little bits and bobs for everyone. So I'm and I don't do my own wrapping either because I'm terrible at it. I'm so bad at it. It's like I'm wrapping chips up with chippy paper, JP. That's how I wrap them. So I just get on with it, just whatever. But
in a bundle, tying up with some fucking sellotape, done.
Awful behaviour, bad.
We're all set in your house, aren't we, Gareth? There's going to be a Christmas present under the tree with a couple 4 legs sticking out of it. Is what I heard in the drive home from Newcastle. Sorry, close subject.
Not just for Christmas, Benno.
Don't make me cry. Did you see a different side to me? My tone on that conversation.
The dad. It was just the dad where it Benno come out. Like,
yeah.
When it takes a slash in your nice trainers, mate, fucking hell, there's going to be hell to pay.
It was like when you the most dad you've ever been was both that. When you were basically like, yeah, and I bet I'm going to have to fucking do all the work. I'm with her and do all the work, which is just the way these things go. I think you know that as a dad. And then also when I told you that me and Steph watch YouTube videos where blokes bet on their own in casinos and film it, and 500,000 people watch it, and you reacted like you'd heard about Twitch for the first time. It was great. It was very dad.
Well, people are just watching people just playing like slot machines, just watching people press a button, like
yeah. Winning millions, or winning fivers at times as well. But yeah, that was
honest. Aren't we?
So, is there a sore subject then? Christmas in the Hodgson household this weekend? This won't be.
It might be if that fucking dog lands, I tell you. I said to you before, anyway, I'll be available for podcasts whenever you want, because I'll be fucking converting that shed and moving in if there's a fucking dog in this house. Because I'll be blocking myself off into different area, because I'm not fucking happy about that. But we'll see. I said to you, we'll see what kind of performance I can put on when we're apparently going to see this dog this Sunday. See if I can put the existing owners off enough to know that we don't want our beloved little dog going to live with him.
Just ask it how good it is at fighting, because that should put them off then at that point of like, oh, hang on, what's this bloke getting this dog for? Like, I don't know.
Just stop talking
you really
about
want to get out of it.
You hear in certain countries they actually eat dog, and you've always wondered what it tasted like. You know, you keep saying I've been a vegetarian my whole life, but you know, you can put them off.
Favorite episode of Peep Show.
Yeah, like they end up with the barbecue dog. Yeah, sorry. On that happy note, JP, Christmas is in the air. Yeah, so we're all excited for Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah. Films is a big part of my Christmas. I reckon I'll be starting next week. It'll be the perfect time to do this podcast, because it'll be when I'll be. That's what really gets me in the mood. Just throwing on the same 6 or 7 films every single year. What's that, mate?
You put a Thanksgiving one on Christmas, don't you?
We don't have Thanksgiving, do we? You know, it might be my choice. You never know. It's our best equivalent of it. I think you eat turkey or whatever it is, and you have a big roast dinner, and the family comes round. Sounds like Christmas to me.
Oh yeah, Christmas horror for you though, isn't it? And this is where you like to kind of like merge your genres.
Yeah, it won't be one of them,
don't you? It won't be. Okay. That's just, I just assumed that. I just thought it'll be Krampus or something like along those lines as well. But no, that's intriguing.
I tell you what, though, I was watching Gogglebox from Friday night yesterday, and they had Jingle All the Way on there that we'd obviously did for the film club last year, and that was the first time that I'd seen it last year. And I was just seeing the little clips of it again. I was just buzzing off it. I was like, I'm going to watch that again this week, kind of thing. Just made me really, really want to watch it again. I was thinking, going to watch it again. Maybe give last year's film club podcast a listen after I've done it as well. Like it was, buzzing off that one.
I've forgotten it was the first time you'd seen it and that you loved it so much. That's boss. It's a cracker. That's what we've done. Is that we were trying to talk about this in the car on the way back from Newcastle, JP. Like while you were on your first class flight with your feet up. And your
fucking weren't, mate.
Easy jet, I suppose. You don't get slippers.
The plane ride from heaven.
Easy jet flying. I tell you what, fucking hell. You try and have a plane ride from hell, you're just going to bump into people, aren't you? You can't fucking drink a bottle of Jack Daniels on one of those things, can you?
But yeah, we were chatting. We were going like, what have we actually done for Christmas films? And that's the problem with doing 2.5 years worth of Patreon podcast. I can't actually remember everything we've done, but apparently it's just Jingle All the Way we've done and Die Hard. They're the only 2 Christmas films. So yeah, there's quite a lot left on the table. Don't know if you're the same as me, JP. I've got a long list of big Christmas films in my household I could throw in. Mine basically is a tactical counter to Matty, but I don't know. Do you want to start us off, JP? Or
go on.
What was your thought process then for it? So we're all going to pick one, and then we're going to put it to a vote with the patrons and see who people side with and what they go with. But yeah, I don't know what I guess for you. Yeah, I could imagine. No offense, something a bit older maybe. Do you think Matty's going to go with? I think it's going to be something.
I'm going for something like
early 80s.
A Wonderful Life or something no older than that, Benno. I'm going for something back in the
day. Well, you know me well again, because the last time you did this game, you got it absolutely spot on when it was guessing what tag teams I put on there as well. I've gone back to the early 1980s. And I had a little think about that. I was like, okay, I like Christmas films. It's almost like a bit of an edge where the Christmas side isn't too kind of like overblown. So I've gone for what is a classic comedy that no doubt hasn't aged all that well. And I'm hoping you've all seen it. I'll be surprised if any of you haven't. I've gone for Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd.
I haven't seen that for a long time.
Which I just thought to myself, like, there was the choice between that and another one that I don't want to mention just in case anybody else brings up, and I might bring it up then after that as well. But yeah, and it felt like I haven't seen it in ages, like gleefully offensive, like as well. And I can remember being a young lad when he was watching like the party scene when he holds in that house as well, like that sort of just sticking in the memory as much as anything. But it felt like a proper mega comedy as well, like at that stage. But yeah. Really look forward to what I like to think of as I've seen it all over Amazon Prime, Eddie Murphy's new film, and I just sort of think, where's the Eddie Murphy I used to like? This is where he was doing this kind of stuff. Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours. That's when, he was in the prime of his run at that point before he ended up doing Beverly Hills Cop 3, where the whole thing went fucking downhill for a very fucking long time. So, yeah.
Remember that being on Sky all the time? They were so proud they had that. You get an advert for it every time you watch Raw. Like, just constant, just endless loops of
it. Was awful, that one.
Looked terrible at the time, yeah. I've only seen it in the years since. Beverly Hills Cop is one that only, I
like 1 and 2, yeah. Well, 3's so bad, yeah.
They're making for families. This isn't a family film, and for those of you who haven't seen it, really looking forward. There's some gleefully offensive lines as well with Paul Gleason, who also plays he was in Breakfast Club. People might remember him from that. So yeah, I just thought I want to go for something.
You're doing a good sell on it, JP. Yeah, you're doing a proper hard sell on it, mate. I love it.
I'd like to watch something good because I'm scared of these Patreon polls, mate. They terrify me.
They've banned us 3 times this year, as much as we love them, and we're thankful for them at this time of year. But we're now down to at least one of us will love each of the choices we've got, so it kind of fits in. But Gareth, what's your one, mate? I think I know from the drive home from Newcastle, but I don't know if you're going to shock us.
I'm pretty sure I would have said this last year as well if we voted on it as well. The greatest Christmas movie of all time, Gremlins. Absolutely fucking.
That was the other one.
Was that the other great stuff?
Get it.
Nice one. Just the best. Watch it every single year without fail. So if I'm watching it this year, why not talk about it? And as I was saying to the other day, try as I might, I can't get my fucking kids to watch it or want to watch it or like it in any way, just like slagging it off for being 80s and cheap looking and things like that. But forever have a place in my heart. Fucking great Christmas film. Can't do a sell as good as JP, sorry.
Cracking shout, though. Hey, if it's one of those two, I'm fine. I'm all right with that so far.
What's funny here, Matty, is we knew them two would be in league. It's the same with the wrestling, is it? Same
generation gap, mate. Generation gap.
Whereas me and you, true to form, we're going to battle it out in this poll, aren't we? Because we picked a very similar film. More than similar, to be fair. Basically the same film. But I couldn't. Do you want to go first? Because I think the reason this has happened, I couldn't let you get away with your pick. So this is going to be an inch. I think this poll's going to depend on the age of people. What's going to win here? And I think the best definitive way of figuring that out is going to be your pick versus my pick. What have you got for that?
Right, my pick is Home Alone 2. Lost in New York. That's my pick. I'm going with the sequel, JP. Going with a big time sequel, a big city backdrop. Let's Tim Curry. Unbelievable in this film. Benno's not a fan of the pigeon lady. He prefers the scary old man in the first one. We've had this discussion, haven't we, already? Wasn't she a casualty? The beard lady's a casualty, is she?
Casualty, yeah. Casualty, I love that.
So, it's just basically...
Brenda Fricker.
Yeah. It was the first film I ever remember getting on pirate video and just watching it when I was a kid all the time, Benno, was this. And I'd seen this one before the original. So that's why it's etched in my memory, and so go on.
Was your pirate copy also like somebody in the cinema with like a weird red glow to it? That's what I remember.
And it just had this like the tracking line all the way through the copy.
Proper pirate, mate.
Yeah. But I loved it. I loved it so much. Yeah.
Well, I couldn't. I'm hoping Garrett's shaking out there is backing me up because I couldn't let that go. We can't start with the sequel. Therefore, my choice is Home Alone 1, and we're having the Grapple Christmas Civil War. And I'm relying on the fucking patrons here to back me up. Because for me, Home Alone 1 is the much better film. Shorter, tighter, hits the high spots better. It's the original, the second one's a retelling of the same story. But it could be, to your point before, Matty, that I saw one first, and I think a lot of slightly younger people than me, not too much younger to be fair, who saw number 2 first and saw them with a little Walkman and all of that, would have that as like the nostalgic pick. But number 1's just a much, much better film for me, and I can't have us do Christmas Film Club and start with Home Alone 2. Unless the patrons demand it. So I've gone with Home Alone 1. And it beat out as well. I had Uncle Buck written down because that's kind of a Christmas film. Planes, Trains and Automobiles, but I think you would have fought me on that because it is a Thanksgiving film, but for me it counts as a Christmas film. But I heard you say Home Alone 2, mate, and I had to go Home Alone 1. Got to fight it in the poll.
As Simon in chat said, Harry and Marv couple of the best heels, couple of the greatest bumpers of all time, Andy, selling wise. And I prefer I prefer the second handicap match to the first handicap match. So let's see what everyone else chooses here.
Wouldn't shock me if you just said Home Alone 3. I'd be like, yeah, that
sounds like
Is that like preferring the second Undertaker Shawn Michaels match to the first one?
I've seen that this week. A lot of people have said the second one's better. I've seen that on X this week. People saying that, but no, Benno. When Macaulay Culkin's not involved, they don't exist. What do you mean?
Are we actually calling it X now? Are people actually calling it X?
We move on to times, Gareth, don't we? You know what I mean? I'm trying to explain this in the car the other day when I was stuck in the back. I'm trying to get better with it, you know.
Sort of people who call it X are the sort of people who vote for sequels before they the originals.
You know the Gremlins 2 guy, Gareth, no?
Good film, but I wouldn't pick it first.
Okay.
It's not a good film.
We'll get a chance to do both. We'll see what happens. See what the patrons vote for. But yeah, you know, gonna put a little bit of strife. What's gonna happen now is ours are gonna split the vote, Matty. And
that was what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
I don't care as long as I beat you. That's all that matters.
I'll be honest. I'm voting for JP because that's Shelly done, mate. I'm voting for that. Not even my own.
Get the X out, as Simon says. There you go. That's the spirit of Christmas. A good Christmas battle in the polls. So yeah, that's going to be going up on the Patreon for patrons to vote on. And also, yeah, last quick plug before we let you two go. It is award season, and we'll have Ask Grapple at the end of the month, which is our usual live Christmas party show. So that'll be the last spotlight of the month. This month will be that. But before that, next week it will be the third annual GRAPPY Awards.
Yeah.
Also, the third annual Crappy Awards, which is more to the point, where we let loose a little bit and call everything shit. That's the Patreon side of things. But Spotlight will be the GRAPPY Awards next year, which will be, you know, nice and civilized. There'll be no arguing. We're all going to agree that you know, Roman Reigns is the best wrestler in the world, and we're all going to agree that WWE is the promotion of the year. And yeah, it's going to be an easy conversation, isn't it?
I was going to say, JP, it's a WWE Awards, isn't it, next week? It's not a GRAPPY. What's going on?
You know.
You're forgetting about a little company that's rebranding itself as TNA Wrestling, mate. I tell you, that's what I'll be hanging my hat on, perhaps with some of this. But yeah, a much more wide open field this year. I can't, like, just thinking about it, I was like, Christ, like, I don't know what I'm going to be going for. It feels like it's going to be all over the place because there's been some good and there's been some fucking bad. And
I think we've all got to think of it though, boys, this time. Seriously, last year even I was like, bang, 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 straight away. I will actually have to sit down and do a bit of research, like, because I forget loads has happened, hasn't it? So I'm interested in both sides of the awards. Like,
I'm going to have to watch some wrestling.
Yeah.
There's the highlights on YouTube, mate. The great bit of All Japan on the JP drive. You'll be all right. You'll catch up. That'll be fine.
It'll be grand.
But there we go. Grappies and crappies. Like the night we will play, and we can go back and look at last year's. There you go. That'll make sure you do it, Gareth. You can have your victory lap on last year's likely.
Seen them results yesterday when I was sending them through. That Gareth was spot on a few things. I got a couple of things that I was happy with. Some things I was like, fucking, I was way off with that.
There's some fun for the predictions in there. So yeah, we'll be talking all about. I'll get in the bin awards. I'll also be in the crappiest section. You in there saying it's what convinced them to get a Patreon last year. As we've been saying, I'll say it out loud. You can get a free trial on the Patreon. You know, take a trial, take a free week, see what you think. Might be a good week to do it and join us. Just stay on. That's all. That's all I ask. It's up to you. Christmas is a tight time of year. What was that?
Tuxedos? Are we getting dressed up?
We've got to put a tie on. At least a tie or a dicky bow. Oh, yeah, I'll be doing that.
I've got to wear ties all day at work. Bloody hell.
I don't know. Sorry, mate. I don't own a tie. That backfired on me, didn't it?
They got it.
But yeah, we'll be getting into that next week. There'll be obviously observe this the Power Slam version as we look at the 1994 year with me and JP. We planned on doing that last week, but I've been waiting for the Royal Mail this time of year, waiting for it to come in the post. But we're sorted now, so that'll be coming later this week as well. So yeah, plenty going on over on the Patreon. And yeah, we've got the Bretro boys here. It'll be episode 2 of Bretro this month as well. All going off. Plenty of content coming both on the Patreon and also on the YouTube. And we did get a couple of new YouTube members this month. So yeah, thank you to them. And you can watch all of that stuff over on the YouTube too. But any sneak peek of what's coming up with Bretro before we go, lads? Before we let you go, is it a Christmas themed Bretro? Brett versus Santa Claus, is that a match? Did that happen? I don't know.
Can I give a little signal, a little hint, Gareth, or you don't want me to keep it done, or should I give a little signal hint?
You can give him a little.
Give a little signal.
Give him a little signal.
Okay.
I'll just do that for everybody on the video feed.
Okay, all right, interesting. Looking forward to Finn Balor versus Bret Hart. Be good. Yeah, on that note, anything else to plug? You got to plug a million shows, Matty. You can plug them when you're on properly next.
Yeah, and also for the Christmas show, you'll get me true of why I'm not enamored with Christmas films as well. So there's a lot. It's a bit deep, JP, as well. So that
sounds ironically like Gremlins. And why she doesn't like Christmas. That's how it feels like it's going to go down that route.
Yeah. And quick plug as well, not for us, but me and you will be over on the Poison Rana feed, won't we, Matty, doing the annual big fat wrestling quiz of the year with
used to forced to team up.
Yeah, I chose you.
I actually found that out in the car. I was like, all right then, Ben.
Martin, you might hear my voice on that one as well, lads.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, used to be on the British Wrestling Experience feed on Post, but now we'll be on Poison Rana. Martin Bush be hosting as usual, and yeah, this is third year doing it, Matty, and I've won every year so far. So no pressure. It was I just thought we'd be a dream team. We'll both cover different parts of the wrestling world. I think we'll nail it.
JP, Gareth, do I keep my hand out, and when he goes for the tag, do I just pull it away and get off the apron? Is that what I do?
We've been waiting for this heel turn for quite some time, mate. I think.
Do a Bad News Brown. Just turn your computer off.
I've got too much pride, mate. I've got too much respect that I want to win. For our brand, let's get a win. Let's get a W.
JP, stay free next Thursday, will you? Just in case. Thank you.
I think so, yeah. Our brand. As soon as I heard that word brand, I went, oh, no.
Supremacy, JP. Your favourite term.
But yeah, you get back next week on the Poison Rana YouTube as well. If you haven't had enough of us for this Christmas season. But on that note, lads, thanks for joining us for the intro. We've got to talk about CM Punk. So we'll
not like us, is it?
No, boys, I'll be listening in the morning. Have a good show. And
brilliant.
Gareth, see you soon, mate.
See you later, lads.
See you, lads.
See you, boys.
Ta-da.
Well, on that note, John Paul.
Yeah.
Let's get into the weekend.
Let's do it, Richard.
Might as well get started right away. Other program weekend show will be Thursday this week as well, because we've got the very important ROH final battle to preview on Thursday. So no, it's not that reason. You're on a Christmas night out on Friday.
I am.
We wouldn't move anything for an ROH pay-per-view. But we'll be talking that later. We've got Collision to talk about. We've got Rampage to talk about. Everything going on at AEW with this week's Dynamite coming up. Dolph Ziggler rumours. Popping in somebody in the chat just let us know. We've got NXT Deadline to talk about, Final Destination, bit of New Japan, bit of All Japan. You might even get a bit of Raw, SmackDown, and MLW in at the end, JP. But before we get there, got to start at the point there. We've kind of always got to start, and as you've put in our show notes, mate, it's the tale of three promos as we've got to talk about CM Punk, and linked to that. To be fair, I don't know if this is a good lead-in or not. That was our plan first topic to dissect the CM Punk promos, but there might be some slightly more pressing CM Punk related news that's been coming through the wire at the time of recording, as Dave Meltzer, and maybe I'll edit this out if it turns out not to be true, in the vaguest terms possible, alluding to the fact that things are changing greatly. No context. Let's just say things changed greatly with Raw negotiations from a few weeks ago, and Punk is a huge part of the selling point. Wasn't replying to anybody. Doesn't give any context to what the news is. This new version of the Observer, JP, isn't coming out till next year, when he's actually going to start putting news stories on the actual Observer front page. But a lot of people wiser than us, JP, have intimated that this maybe has something to do with it mentions Punk there, Raw renegotiations, the possibility of Warner Brothers Discovery, home of TNT and TBS, which obviously host and fund AEW's entire operation, being potentially at the negotiating table with WWE. Again, at time of recording, Tony Khan's just finished on the ROH final battle presser, where he was asked, and he said in his words he'd been to Time Warner today, he'd been speaking to Warner Brothers Discovery today, and things are all still extremely positive with the old relationship. But yeah, I don't think there's before we get into the Phil stuff over the weekend, you think there's smoke to that fire? In the famous word, David Zaslav does call him one bill, Phil. That'd be quite the grenade to throw in things if this story we're just hearing about now ends up having legs.
It's going to be absolutely wild if this story has legs, because it completely changes the landscape of wrestling. Does that mean, like, if this happens, do I think AEW go out of business? No, I think there'd be another TV network who'd take them. However, it's the idea that the conversations are taking place. And there was rumours, wasn't it? It was like Nick Khan, Triple H met with like Warner Brothers Discovery execs and everything else. And it feels like the most kind of corporate way of fucking over your corporation you could possibly do is in terms of jeopardizing the TV deal that would keep them in business for the near future. Do I think there's smoke to it? Yeah. I mean, I think there's things that I don't know as much about, like say the NBA rights that come into the mix, because the budget you'd need for Raw would be absolutely enormous. But it makes sense with Phil ending up on Raw that you want that kind of big selling point. All I'll say is how long he ends up on Raw is going to be like one of the questions on that. We thought the same thing with Collision. You know, you're getting a show, it's just CM Punk exclusive. It's called Collision. That lasted long, didn't it? Yeah. So like you have to wonder whether or not, like, you know, there are people at Warner Brothers Discovery who would wonder that if it's worth taking that risk. I think it could happen. I think it's interesting. I think what it would also do is it would mean for AEW is, and if you're Warner Brothers Discovery and you're trying to eke out a deal with them and you don't want to pay them exactly what you want, just the idea of this being public, like just this story being out there, is a thing that would terrify AEW. And I imagine in their case think, okay, we'll just take a slightly lower paying deal in order to kind of make sure that we maintain our place on a network. And it's scary for them. We always speak about, you know, them as the challenger brand and everything else. And they need that stability of the kind of money that they'd be looking for. But I also think that there is those factors that come into play. Like if they keep the NBA, then you'd imagine that they'd want to keep AEW at that point as like a secondary kind of live content provider. I hate myself for saying that phrase, but that's where we are in 2023. As opposed to, no, it's bad, isn't it? As opposed to Raw, on the other hand, which would require such a level of budget and investment that they would, in essence, it would be almost saying that they are going to be losing some of their NBA deal, which is the thing ultimately that they want to keep in all of this, that you'd imagine.
Yeah, I think I saw that before. That like I think the numbers are something like you could triple what AEW are paid, and give them an extra 60 million, and it still wouldn't hit what it would probably cost to get Raw. So that kind of tells you maybe, you know, the reality of the situation. But yeah, is the smoke to the fire? I absolutely think there is, and I think even if it's just a case of, you know, the tires being kicked, because we have heard it from Tony Khan on conference calls and just general like things he said. Like it sounds like the deal, you know, that we've heard was on the table for a renewal with Warner Brothers Discovery for a while has not been to his liking, and he's been waiting it out because he wants, you know, I think in his words, you know, the proper market value for AEW and all of the, you know, the content that he's given them. And like those kinds of quotes were coming out 2-3 months ago, I think, you know, and we're still here, and Tony Khan is uncharacteristically quite quiet in the general scheme of things, and just makes you think there might be some smoke to that fire, and maybe there is, you know, an element of that where it's, you know, David Zaslav and the company in general were always very high on CM Punk. They always, you know, you look at the quarter hours of Dynamite and you look at, you know, they're crunching the numbers as big as anybody. As, you know, as silly as a thing as, you know, maybe people get sick of us doing it on podcasts, talking about numbers and ratings and all of that stuff. You know, they're squeezing these numbers, and I'm sure they absolutely have the evidence that Punk is a draw, and like WWE, you know, after this week has at least some evidence in that direction as well, merch sales and all of that stuff. And yeah, they definitely do seem, you know, despite everything, I think they are very much CM Punk guys over there. And then it would just even thinking about it, doesn't bear thinking about it. Like it's, you know, it'd be fucking typical Phil Brooks, wouldn't it? Like for him to come in, burn down the house of AEW, this company that was supposed to like be perfect for him and was tailor-made for him, was built in the name and reputation of indie guys just like him, and it was this perfect home. Came in, got into a load of fights with everybody, pissed everybody off, tried to fight his boss, got fired, and then they took their TV with him and got WWE, you know, a deal with their network. And you know, would. I think I'm with you. I don't think it would totally sink AEW, but it would completely fundamentally destroy the entire business plan, like which has been. This is a solvent, healthy, successful, financially competent company because of that great relationship that they've got with Warner, and because that is literally the reason it's on primetime TV, the reason it's not, one of the many startups, we had in the years before AEW, is because it had the legitimate, deal on a top, TV network, on a top, cable network, in a place where it was, doing, whether it's, just over 1 million or just under 1 million these days, but doing, comparable-ish numbers to WWE, and most importantly, getting paid well for it, and getting paid, a market rate for it. There is no guarantee, as much as I think, there's always going to be other people who come for them. You might not get a sweetheart deal, and then it might turn out there all of the silly conversations we all have about, year-on-year ratings, and this is down and that's down, and Collision's now settled in the 400,000 range, and Rampage has settled into the 300,000 to 400,000 range, and the constant reassurance we almost give ourselves, we're like, but they're happy with it though, aren't they, at the network? They're not bothered, it's fine, as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. But it turns out they're not as happy as we thought, and it turns out that when you are trying to shop yourself to other networks, those numbers aren't as strong as they were a couple of years ago. And those chickens maybe come home to roost a little bit. And it's very alarming, I think, for while not catastrophic, close enough for the future of AEW.
Well, it does make you think. because the Raw ratings just come out. This is within the last sort of 20 minutes, and it was like 1.466 million, which isn't great. It's slightly down, but you know
December.
What? It's December. It's a hell of a lot better than Dynamite, and I think that's just the way that they'd end up looking at it.
I'm just looking, just to give context. That's I've got WrestleNomics open. Credit to Brandon Thurston. So down 6% on last week compared to last year, plus 28%. For this time last year, that tells you, December's usually a dead period for WWE, and they're relatively hot right now still because of bringing Punk in, because of just generally the positivity surrounding them. The 1849ers again, similarly 29% up, based on this time last year. Dynamite doesn't have that type of percentage increase, does it?
Mate, if you combine the ratings for Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, they add up to basically what Raw does. And around that kind of figure, it's like 1.5 million. So there may be that point they just want to be associated with the kind of brand leader, the leader in wrestling. It just gives them that kind of cachet of WWE. It might give them the cachet of getting stuff with the UFC as well at another point. Like there's all manner of kind of factors at play here, but it certainly livens things up. It means that our predictions game for the year end show is like, fucking hell, that goes all over the place on the potential for this. There's also the fact as well that if they're, with Raw, you're buying one program that you're going to be promoting. Yeah. You're not going to be diluting the product, it's one of the things I've kind of thought with AEW, where everything is so diluted across two shows mainly, with Rampage just kind of like being there as much as anything else. And if they go anywhere else, are they going to be able to have that many hours of TV on a weekly basis? I doubt it. 5 with the hour for every once in a while that Battle of the Belts runs, which none of us have a fucking clue whenever that happens in there. The idea of Ring of Honor ever being run, well, that'll be fucking dead. I'd struggle to see how that could end up being sold. So, it creates this, it's just the idea of the king of counterculture killing the competition to the big corporate behemoth that has run wrestling for the last 20 odd fucking years. That's the state of play that we're in. It's absolutely mad.
Well, on that note, and we'll keep tabs on that story if anything more develops while we're on air. But I'm sure it's something to take note of, and it speaks to the whether you believe it or not. And based on what we talked about at the pre-show, Matty doesn't believe it. That Phil Brooks bloke is a bit of a draw, and we've kind of seen that over the weekend. And we should get into to Phil's mad weekend, JP, as we were in a rock club called Trillions in Newcastle on Saturday night. So I got my phone out and saw CM Punk in a pink hoodie opposite Shawn Michaels at NXT Deadline, while we were all dancing to "I Walk Alone," Batista's theme playing on the jukebox. That's the type of Saturday night we were having, lads.
Yeah. It was a Bret Hart hoodie, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. They made like reference to it and a joke of it because, of course, he wore a Bret Hart hoodie to meet up with Shawn Michaels. But yeah, as you've put it, the Taylor 3 promos obviously had this promo on SmackDown, which was the fucking, not where I would have brought CM Punk back to SmackDown in front of 10 rows full of troops at a tribute to the troops show in Bumfuck, Idaho, or whatever it was. Didn't really react to his little insider lines about punching people in the face backstage at that audience. Gave the casual fan whisperers a little bit of a talking point. Did that one. Was included though, however, in the Raw highlight package they showed of SmackDown, so making sure I think they even added a little bit of a crowd pop, to be honest, to get that over. But yeah, because I'd say the SmackDown promo was definitely an improvement on the one we saw on Raw. Be hard not to be. Still got the same concerns. Like, he still looks like a man he looks like the actor Phil Brooks playing the part of the CM Punk wrestler. I don't believe a word coming out of his mouth. Don't believe any of his smiles. Same thing when he came out at NXT. Comes out smiling and clapping and marveling at the ceiling and hugging Shawn Michaels and stuff. There was that too, and then obviously, there was Raw as well with him having to put over the importance of whether he was going to choose Raw or SmackDown, and he's got these WWE crowds eating out of the palm of his hands when it comes to am I going to join your brand, or am I going to join the other one? As if there's like SmackDown ultras out there, JP will only wear blue, and there's Raw fans out there who only wear red. Neither will the two ever mix. But yeah, that was the kind of the crux of his Raw promo as well. Did he make a believe it out of you at all, JP? I would say across the promos, it felt like I doubt he listened to our clip. Maybe he did, but I think a lot of my criticisms, I think, aside from the whole, this is what you get. He's very clearly sold out here. But what's he going to do? As this sellout, how's he going to make this work? Well, what was missing from that initial Raw promo? I felt like going down that laundry list of who he could face. And he did that on SmackDown, listed off, the Kevin Owens of the world, and, seems to have made peace with him. That's another talking point. Seth Rollins, obviously, Roman Reigns leaked all that thought on Raw. He did a good job of going through the history of, where he's, where his story has been, specifically in that venue, talking about walking out the same venue 10 years ago and coming back. Didn't mention it was also the venue where he lost to Mickey Gall, but we'll leave that one out. But told the story, I think we said, at least tell us about the strife of coming back and facing your demons. He did a lot of those things, JP. So I don't know. It felt like to me the WWE 2023 approach that I keep saying. It's Excel spreadsheet wrestling. It's in if you're playing a game of TW, I think all these segments get 100. All these segments get A+. They're all doing exactly what he needs to do. He's being the company man I think they want to be. He's saying all the things I think they want him to say, including some apologies in there that are very hard to take as a long-term CM Punk fan. And yeah, overall, I thought it was an effective weekend, if one that gave me very, very mixed emotions.
Yeah, I would go effective. That would be the key word for it. I mean, the NXT thing was just a fucking shambles. I thought just chucked in the middle. It was just like they're both just riffing in quite actually not in a particularly funny way. But they just managed
both
to...
forgot what they were doing, didn't they, clearly?
Then it just went to the start of the show, and I was like, right, is that it? Yeah. Is that all we're fucking getting? Okay.
Coming at the music, really? What's going on?
I thought, have I missed something here? But in terms of the promos themselves, I thought what it was like they'd laid out, okay, this is the content that we want you to do. We want you to kind of hint at things without explicitly talking about stuff that could potentially cause legal issues and the rest of it. They wanted to refer to people. It was sanitized CM Punk, which is really probably sadly enough for them to get away with at this point in time. And it's what they want out of CM Punk. It is kind of, I don't know, like the equivalent of Johnny Lydon appearing on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. It's we're bringing on Johnny Rotten, and he's not really going to be doing too much in the way of kind of Johnny Rotten stuff. So he made his kind of I thought the promo on SmackDown, again, it just had that focus, and it also had the length of time for him to be able to talk rather than he made reference to it. Yeah, exactly. He made sure to mention in there as well. And again, I always think those things are kind of deliberate. It's just allowing him enough leeway to kind of riff on a couple of things very briefly, but to kind of go, to make you almost convinced that this is the proper CM Punk that you're getting. This is the full fat CM Punk you're getting. And it's no, This is still a watered down version, but they're making sure to get in their apologies and stuff like that. And it's very clear the storyline they want to go in there, where the idea is him paying penance, having to apologise to all the other superstars in the back and stuff like that, which he was very using that word, which feels just like kind of wrong. The word wrestling just never being mentioned at any way, shape or form during it. Do I think it's successful? Yeah, because the ratings bear it out. Like, I mean, that SmackDown was the largest audience since they've done since October. And again, you know,
big 18:49 quarter hour as well.
Big 18 to 49 quarter hour for it. The drama of where he was going to be going, I just find that weird. I'll never, like you said, I'll never not find it weird. Effective, but in no way heartfelt. Like, no. I mean, it feels like, you know, somebody returns to acting and it's kind of all right, but it's not necessarily like great. But for what they want, this is exactly it. And this is exactly the kind of like paying penance part. That I can't see there being a case where he ends up kind of really cutting loose or anything else in some, like, the expectation. He is he's on his best behaviour with this. And they kind of make reference, you're on your last chance and stuff. That's what Rolllins did there as well. But even that face to face, very sanitized. Yeah.
And for me, like, before we get there, because I've got lots to say about the Seth program, I'm no more sold on it, but I will say, you know, Seth did as good a job as the fucking goofball in his purple suit can do, for me. But we'll get there. But I think for me, like, it's more the overall. It's like, as the long-term CM Punk fan, like, this is just a completely different animal, and it is sad to see. It is clearly somebody who's cashing in. As I said on the weekend show, JP, it's a man who is there to take a paycheck. But the thing about this particular man is he's good enough and he's motivated by enough grudge that he's going to make it work. And that's the truth. Like, he wants to prove the AEW people he fell out with and just generally the haters or whatever, that he can do this. He can be on best behavior. He can go around the country making amends with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and whoever else he maybe allegedly did that with last week. He can be on best behavior and say all the words they want. And he's motivated to do that. Don't get anything twisted by, one, money, and two, just pure grudge, because he wants to fucking stick it to the people who pissed him off. That's just how he is. That's the type of person that he is. And the second point of that is that he is good enough to pull it off. He is good enough to pull off WWE material. Does it appeal to the likes of me and you? Maybe not so much. There are little bits in there that are like he's still throwing in that I think he's probably finding on the fly. He's having to adjust. You know, he's throwing in references to OVW on the Raw promo, like the punching a Tony Khan thing that got a lot of headlines that are for the more, you know, tuned in fans like us, that didn't land particularly well and did make you feel like this is an old man who doesn't know what he's walked into. He doesn't fully realize that he's walked into a company with a fan base that actually likes it now. And it also, which puts him in a weird position because he's used to, you know, fighting against the system. And he's used to like being the anti-WWE type guy, and he can't be that when the company is overall the babyface right now. And I think he's learning what this fan base kind of wants out of him. And that doesn't mean there's no place for that stuff. I think it got overblown. I think, you know, in front of a New York crowd or a Philly crowd or something like that. I mean, obviously it's not quite the AEW audience anymore. I think we all accept that it's a different audience, but I think, you know, those lines were definitely gone over better. But that doesn't mean, you know, the fact that they continue to include them in the video packages and stuff shows you that, you know, there's still a chunk of the audience, a big chunk of the audience who does lap this stuff up and does enjoy this, and it does create social media engagement and all of that stuff, whether it's worth or not. I was having this argument, not an argument, but discussion with Matty and Gareth in the car home from Newcastle. Like, on the one hand, yes, I agree, you know, it may be a bad line to use in a promo, but on the other hand, like, sometimes people act like these casual fans are like, they don't own a smartphone, you know what I mean? Like, what happens, JP, if you Google the word WWE once on an Android phone, what happens? Next time you open Chrome, your front page will be filled with fucking Wrestling Inc. and fucking Ringside News and, like, you know what I mean? Like, people act like these people, while they're not as engaged as us, and maybe the punching line was a little bit too complex and went over some of the people, you know, the servicemen and women and the more casual fans in the crowd's heads. You know, I find it hard to believe that, like, they're not at least partially aware of what happened with CM Punk and him leaving AEW and the news story surrounding it. Maybe they're not engaged, maybe they don't care as much as people do, but you know what I mean? I think people go too far down that line where it's like they're not living in a fucking silo. You know what I mean? They've got access to the internet. Like, and if they don't understand, they can Google it. And it's like I always say about the Marvel films, JP. You know, the Easter eggs aren't for everyone. The Easter eggs are for the most engaged fans, and the fans who don't understand it, they just carry on eating the popcorn and watch the rest of the show and go, as these three audiences did, clap along and chant CM Punk, even if they don't fully understand the context of what's in there. I think it gets over talked a little bit.
It does, and those kind of things, like you say, there's those little bits of red meat chucked in to kind of keep the likes of us certainly keeping an interest in it. If nothing else, in my case, watching the YouTube video. But I think it's like the idea of him is for him to add, even though it's a very blunted edge, it's still a bit of edge nonetheless of this kind of prickly character coming into the
enough edge for WWE.
Enough edge for them, and more edge than what they've been providing. Because really, what they do, like I say, you have the competency and everything else along those lines. But what you don't have is that kind of like real heartfelt kind of emotion. That's often the thing that Triple H booking tends to lack. And in a sense, he's there to do that, even though he's not really doing that, or he's not doing that for us. For those fans, it's just like, CM Punk's back in WWE. I haven't seen Football Dad this week, but I know if I did, he'd be absolutely buzzing about it. He'd be like, he's back. He knows. He absolutely fucking knows. He will follow that stuff, and he'll be completely aware of it. God, we see
shit YouTube he watches. 100%. Everyone's got something.
And he'll see, you saw it on the BBC site and stuff like that. There is enough of like the kind of big news that even when he like returned to wrestling after all those years away, it didn't get as much play or traction as him appearing in WWE. It was like, for all intents and purposes, like he might have appeared in fucking Impact for some of like some of the reporting and the rest of it.
True, I agree with that.
It never really like kind of broke out of the wrestling kind of ghetto of sorts. It never broke into the kind of mainstream, whereas this does. And does it provide, like, and thinking of it as a product, as a TV product, does it put this intriguing character, if watered down, into the mix? Yeah. Is that going to intrigue enough people there? Absolutely. I mean, the NXT stuff there just being the kind of like, I just thought what was interesting about that is it's not anything he said, because he didn't say anything of note at all, but it's more the fact that he's doing the kind of loops. They are using him and appear to be using him as like a full-time person, not as someone who is going to be appearing just for big shows.
He's doing the Dominic Mysterio match, isn't he? Same night as the AEW World's End pay-per-view, might I add, from the Forum as well, which is an AEW venue, the LA Forum, on the 30th of December.
Wembley next.
They're dirty enough to do it, aren't they? Throw it on the network, throw it on the Peacock, to get people to watch CM Punk's first match back in WWE. Get to watch that live rather than watch the AEW pay-per-view. Would you put it past them? Absolutely not.
They haven't got any premium live events now, have they? After Deadline. Again, a phrase I absolutely hate myself for saying. It would be an easy thing for them to do.
He'll happy to say it now, mate. He'll say all the words.
But like, this is where, like, in that kind of bigger picture, it's like you're very aware that there is a wrestling war going on, and the idea, like, I think of WWE not going near him, I thought, there'd be good reasons for not having him around full time, like just for the kind of morale and how he is as a person. It's just, it seems like it's the simplest way to kind of manage him is on those kind of sporadic basis. But no, they're kind of going with him as this big featured person. He also creates a wonderful diversion away from that. The Roman Reigns doesn't really appear all that much these days. So he's kind of fulfilled that need as well of having that in the mix. And that's obviously a route that they'll go down after they finish with the Rolllins stuff. But we are in the kind of like situation as well where, I don't like the Rolllins feud. Like, I have to say.
I was going to say.
Yeah. That's...
Yeah, I'm in a place of acceptance, I think, with that at the minute. Like, people are expecting me to be more disgusted that, Punk is, absolutely sold out. I will not, deny that. There's probably a bargaining part of me, though, that JP, that's got to the point where it's like, well, even if it's a 6 out of 10, watered down, doesn't really believe the fucking verbiage that's coming out of his mouth about the WrestleMania sign and, the Royal Rumble and all that. Like, even if it's that, it's still better than nothing. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, but there's a Royal Rumble coming up and CM Punk's going to be in it, and I'm getting excited. I'm despite myself getting excited about it, despite knowing probably what it's going to be, but it's still CM Punk in a Rumble. The Seth Rollins feud sums that up for me. Like, that's like, I can't think of a wrestler I find less appealing in WWE. I'm not saying he's the worst wrestler you've got. I think I'm on record multiple times of calling him the most average wrestler you've got, or even I think above average wrestler. I think is the backhanded compliment I'll give him. Good at everything, great at nothing, and just thoroughly unlikable is kind of my overall take on Seth Rollins. But I did think this segment was good, better than I ever expected it to be. Punk got to do the speech and reunite with it. Someone like me is going to enjoy him being on screen with Adam Pearce, and then say all of his bits. And then I thought Seth, as much as it pains me, did a good job in the segment. It was by design, I think. He did wipe the floor with Punk quite a bit. It's a bit of the problem is with Seth, it's a detour from like the laughing, Joker type, like I said, bright suited bloke that he kind of portrays, to now be like, no, I'm straight shooter Seth Rollins, and I'm gonna say to your face, all of the Hangman Page lines, and I'm gonna, with about 8, well delivered, but like I say, a 7 out of 10 delivery compared to Hangman Page's 10 out of 10 delivery. Tell you what a piece of shit you are, and give you all of my real opinions. Like, there was something about that did work, and it probably, again, backhanded compliment, as good a promos I've seen Seth Rollins cut. That 7 or 8 out of 10 promo I saw him cut on Raw on Monday, and it did give me a little bit of hope. Coming out that SmackDown where he did list off Roman Reigns and he did mention Kevin Owens and did do the backstage segment with Kevin Owens, I was like, oh, please, let's just do that instead. That sounds so much better than Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Yeah. Doesn't seem like that's happening anytime soon. Maybe the peace tour didn't extend that much, but yeah, as far as getting that started and now presumably that being a WrestleMania match, they did a decent job. Do I believe CM Punk really wants to be the World Heavyweight Champion, whatever that belt is called? No. Do I think it's really main event in WrestleMania if you're on night one in the middle of a buy one, get one WrestleMania, as a wise man once said, against Seth Rollins? Is that a real WrestleMania main event? Probably not. But again, was it functional? Was it as good as it could be? Again, is this the acceptance part of me? Probably, yeah. And if anything, I think it probably was better than my expectations, even if overall it's still not, the track I would go.
Yeah, I think that's kind of
yeah. It's still good. It's just a little WWE-ified. It's still good. It's just a little sports entertaining.
And to also quote Chris Platt in the chat as well, where he says that he didn't do any of the over the top Seth shite. Like, that was the other thing I thought, that like we didn't have any of that kind of nonsense coming into the mix. But like you say, it feels like he even pulled the same face as what he did during the Hangman promo, like exactly the same expression of the kind of slightly like looking crestfallen at Seth Rollins as he told him these things. Like, the comments really hurt him and everything else. And so it was the whole idea is they're channeling into it. And they're just going,
no agent, apparently, apparently there was no agent. It was just them two coming up with it. And obviously that's the difference. Punk has agreed to let Seth say these things, which is, unfortunate, but because it wasn't as good. But yeah, apparently it's just them. I wonder if that's, in his deal, that there is no one over his shoulder hitting him at every minute.
But I do still want to think, like, with Seth Rollins, as good as this was as a promo for him, it was still kind of like a functional wrestler promo, whereas Kevin Owens would have, you'd like to think there'd be a much better degree of thought and more degree of nuance and a different kind of approach, which would have been a lot more interesting to watch as a piece of TV. Whereas this was kind of like, it was generic, I don't like you, now I'm being a bit serious and we're going to sort it all out in the ring. Like, that's kind of really where that went as a direction. But you know what? That's kind of what they need to do. And that's what they want to do, and it's what their fans are going to absolutely lap up as well. And I suppose the big effect is obviously
they are both him. I've seen that both multiple times.
Yeah,
there's a segment of Twitter X, as we will not call it, that will lap this up absolutely lapped this up and thought this was one of the greatest segments. Probably was that we've done in a while. But I mean, maybe that says something in itself. It's weird though, because I think this is what Punk's going to pull off. Because I think what he's not going to pull off, and although we pointed to a few elements that where maybe for more fans like us, the insidery stuff, that's probably that's Punk's calling card, and has been a lot of the best stuff he's ever done. But I said to you last week, I watched that kind of highlights package of Punk's best WWE stuff. It isn't all like that. Like, a lot of his best stuff is character-based and feud-based, and is, the Rey Mysterio feud and the Straight Edge Society, and the stuff with Paul Heyman as his manager, like in-character stuff that played within the boundaries of the storylines that were told on TV. I think he's going to end up tapping into that more, because he can't be the rebel, he can't be the real Phil Brooks. He's going to become more of a wrestling character that fits in with his TV show. And, as somebody who loves off-the-rails Phil Brooks, that's a dagger to my heart. But I think he's going to pull this material off, and once we're past this initial stage of how wild that he's there, do you have any doubt that he's good enough to pull it off? He may be not well enough behaved to stay around long enough, as Seth Rollins' promo kind of alluded to, but it's going to be as good or better than anything on WWE TV. And again, damn with fake praise, but it is, because he's that good. Like, even if his heart isn't in it.
And that's going to be the thing. It's going to stand out on, as we've seen it when I try to watch like an episode of Raw, it's fucking hard work. And this is going to be better than the other stuff that is going to be on that TV, and he's going to be delivering content, delivering his promos in a way that's better than everyone else. I think the thing is there's also the other factor in terms of like him working and being there on a regular basis. You have to space his matches out. Given and it was, they brought up the idea, Seth Rollins did bring up the idea of his fragility as well, his physical fragility, which, is an issue. Let's face it, the man is, he's been more injury prone than Darren Anderton, for God's sakes. So you kind of wonder what exactly, how many of these kind of big, you have to space this stuff out. But I think what we are going to see is that he's going to be playing, he's going to be on his best behavior for this year. And I think he recognizes, just given the state of the company, given the state of the TV deals and everything else, and where they are and how they're being run, that for him, what he's always been interested in, that money side of it, there's enough for him to be making if he learns to kind of temper it, work with the people he's got to work with, don't stir shit up unnecessarily. But he's also within, and this is always, I thought, the big differences between AEW and WWE is, better or for worse, WWE is tightly controlled. Like, it is a controlled environment, and people don't fuck about. Like, these are the rules, and you play by these rules, and you don't muck about with it. And he's going to do that. I think he's going to do that because that's as his last kind of his last big run in wrestling is going to be this. This is it.
Until he goes back to AEW. I mean, if there's still an AEW, if he hasn't, twisted the knife enough to make Tony Khan lose.
If he hasn't killed it off in the meantime, fucking hell.
What a cunt, man. Why do I like cunts? Why was I so happy to see him in show? I'm like,
we all have a bad boy,
one of those
mate.
People who's in a bad relationship. Why was Shawn Michaels my favorite wrestler when I was a kid, and why is it now CM Punk? Why was I so happy to see them together at NXT Deadline? That Shawn show we did reignited the 12-year-old who loved Shawn Michaels back in the day. I forgive him for NXT UK now. Wasn't that bad, JP? It was all right. Oh, Brian, no. I'll never climb down off that hill. But yeah, maybe it's acceptance. And Punk in a Rumble in theory sounds good. In practice, will it be? We'll see. But I think that they're nailing it. But having him on these shows has a clear ratings effect. They can maybe keep him off TV for a couple of weeks, keep it special. If he does debut at that big house show in ring, they'll get eyeballs on that if they happen to stream it. And then the Rumble's the perfect way to reintroduce him again, similar to what they did with this Raw segment. 10 years later, it is in another Rumble, and
that's in a stadium. And how many tickets is that going to sell? We've seen this for the non-WrestleMania stadium shows. They go into the corner as much as anything, and they film out wide. I don't think they're going to end up doing this. Whether or not it's going to sell out a stadium, I'm not convinced by that. But you think they've already sold 45,000 tickets for Elimination Chamber. You putting him into the mix there as well. These are going to be big. He's going to have that kind of. He's going to look like the kind of draw to them TKO is a company that just lives and dies by numbers. And if they see he's drawing ratings, we asked the question, is he going to be bigger than Randy Orton? Yeah. Is he going to be I mean, their ticket sales are healthy anyway, but is he going to be really healthy on those big shows that they want packed? Like, yeah. Is he, so I think they're going to be looking at it as that, but it all depends on his behavior and who he is and how long he can keep himself kind of tightly coiled up, rather than springing out of like a very fucking angry Jack in the Box, ready to slag everyone off in the meantime and kick off backstage. But there's going to be, and again, always my kind of like bugbear, he's going to be in a company that's organized. His merch sales are going to be going, like, they're already like kind of, I'm assuming he's the number one merch seller. They're not he's not going to have issues with all of that stuff backstage or what's going on or any kind of like creative chaos, because they know what they're doing.
Another Mo from The Simpsons reference, but we'll see how long he can keep that fake smile going. Another big Mo's family feedback fake smile that goes all over his face. That's what he looks like when he's coming out. Like, how long can he keep that up? How long can he be, backstage meeting a Cora Jade and slapping hands and meeting a Booker T and joking about, oh, you keep flip flopping, don't you, Booker? We've been slagging him off 3 weeks ago on this podcast. He's keeping calm and he's letting Seth Rollins get those little digs in, and he's doing stuff with Kevin Owens and people like that who he's, historically not got along with. Drew even did a backstage pre-tape with him. Reunited with Kofi Kingston, didn't he? I suppose, last thing I'll say, that last bit of like hope that I've got as a hardcore punk fan, I don't buy it, but if this was all a great like long-term player, I'm saying all the buzzwords and stuff because I'm going to build to a big heel turn when it turns out Seth was right and he couldn't hold it together and he was lying and he does hate WWE because he's fucking said a lot of shit about WWE. Seth was right about that, and he turns out to be the biggest heel and kicks off on screen. I'd love that. If he kicks off off screen, I'll probably love that too. But I think this is kind of what we're getting. But yeah, I mean, on that note, any thoughts on so that's the other thing as well. We might win here, and that he might piss off Seth Rollins enough that he fucks off from WWE. Although the negative might be that Seth Rollins could end up in AEW. Imagine that. That'd be the monkey's paw of a trade, wouldn't it? Do you believe any of that? That contract room, he's going fucking nowhere. It is.
He's not going anywhere. Like, there's no way he's going anywhere. There's absolutely no chance in hell that him and Becky Lynch's deals are up. Are they right to kind of wait? Yeah. I mean, and try and do them set effectively as a kind of like a package deal. Absolutely. And this is the way of kind of keeping him in check, or like this storyline is a way of kind of keeping him as like still like a primary focus of the company. But there's no way he's going anywhere else. It's the same thing even with Drew McIntyre. I just don't think, why would they go there? These are people who view the pinnacle of the industry as WWE. This is what we do, and we're working for them. They don't want, they look at AEW as a step down. They see how many other people think the grass is greener on the other side, and it doesn't really work out for them. We'll talk about, there are other people who kind of like intimating about wanting to go back and all the rest of it. Like, I just don't see Seth Rollins leaving. Like, this is the place where, like, he's a lifer, and he is like, he's not going to have that level of cachet in AEW, and he's not going to be a big enough star. You take away the name, and I don't know what does Colby Lopez mean, like, effectively to that kind of audience. It means fuck all. Like, Tyler Black, it means nothing. Like,
no, he never meant anything to me. Anyways. I never liked. If you think my Seth Rollins hate is new, it's not. Never liked him in ROH either. His hair was better back then, but wasn't into any of that. But I mean, good. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, as Chris says here in the chat, the most he'll do is he'll take some time off, like disappears off, returns at SummerSlam. Like, you've done Mania, you get to have the summer off, then you come back. That's the thing that, like, that's the most sensible option for him to go.
Definitely. Well, on that note, it's a great segue from one company to the other, as is our next story, which I've inserted here because I think it's the perfect way to get from one to the other. JP, to get from talking WWE to talking some AEW. What better way than John Cena granting a Make-A-Wish on the red carpet today with MJF. Fucking made me laugh. That Baron Corbin was there for some reason as well, with the Iron Claw Premier, what's he doing there? Getting
well, he's not meeting our mates at their wedding, like Matty and Alan Forel, and this is what he's up to, isn't he? He just hangs around, Baron Corbin. It's mad.
Oh, this picture's fucking made me laugh so much. Like, yeah, there's a thingies there as well, isn't he? Kevin Von Erich's knocking around. Good to see he's making the trip and isn't as bitter about the movie as maybe we might have rightly thought. There's obviously, is it the embargo got lifted today? Is it on
yes.
Hence why we're seeing these great images on Twitter today.
Yeah, it is. It kind of broke. I want to say sort of like late afternoon UK time. So, like, probably about midday US time or something, Eastern Standard Time. At the time of speaking now, there's only 38 reviews for Iron Claw, but it's doing 92% critics-wise. I think notably, I don't think it has any Golden Globe nominations. So the idea of this being like a kind of Oscar-winning, I don't see that being the case, because the Golden Globes has always been that kind of like setting what are going to be the big awards contenders, and it doesn't appear to be into that kind of mix. In terms of the reviews, and I'm looking mainly, I always tend to go to the top critics when I'm at Rotten Tomatoes, because I always think that like that's just sort of like a much better idea and how they feel they're going to do. And I'm even looking at like kind of like Variety's review, who look at this purely from a kind of like business perspective. And one of the things they've said is that this is like the sort of perfect movie for this particular moment in time, and that this is something that feels like it's something that is going to have a kind of like a real connection. It's got some very like kind of very accessible like hot stars, even if it isn't MJF in there. I'm talking about like, Jeremy Allen White, Zac Efron, Harris Dickinson, who's in that thing on Disney Plus called The Murder at the End of the World as well. He's British, playing David Von Erich. And it's, the BBC didn't like it, but I think in the main, in terms of like the top reviews out at the moment, it appears to be like kind of very well reviewed. There's going to be that line between how well do the wrestling kind of fans like this? Are we going to be so bothered because, it doesn't have Chris Von Erich in it, for example? Or are we going to be really bothered because it doesn't have MJF in it for more than 10 seconds as Lance Von Erich? I don't know, but I think it's going to be. I know Ryan Nemeth, as Steph mentions there in the chat, he's playing Gino Hernandez, isn't he? It appears to be, but like in the main, that this is going to be like a successful film, and I think it is going to do that. And I did hear somebody say as well, it's going to potentially do well with those kind of like appealing to Christian audiences is like a really big deal, and I think this kind of tale of what can happen when you go to the evil excesses of the world is the kind of thing that's going to really, I think, play into the mix and do quite well. And it's got a cast of very like kind of hot actors, effectively. Physically they're all attractive lads, but at the same time they all have like a certain degree of like, they're all on the come up. They're all people who feel like they're going to be like kind of bigger stars. So yeah, the fact Cena was there, the fact that Baron Corbin was there as well suggests that this is going to be the kind of thing that gets into the kind of mainstream. It's going to be interesting how they use the Von Erichs on Winter is Coming this week as well. All I'm praying for is a Christian Cage segment talking about what a great dad he is. Like that for me, for in-jokes that may be lost on large swathes of the audience, that would be fucking awesome. I'd be completely all over that.
Oh, I'm excited to see it. Like I say, the reviews have definitely, and the lack of nominations made me think, okay, maybe this isn't quite the. It's one of the non-successful Oscar bait films. I think is what we're starting to learn. This is gonna be. If you wonder why Cena was there, by the way, he's got a film coming out with Zac Efron soon, hasn't he? In January, I think they're doing something together as well. So there's your degrees of separation there. But I'm still quietly excited for it. We're going to do a film club on it. I'm definitely in the new year. Presumably, Uncle JP is going to get us a coffee. But it's there'll be screeners out there. I'm sure we're all going to find a way to watch it. But
Christmas Day, mate, they'll be out for these. It's normally the case.
I wonder with all the WWE guys at the Iron Claw premiere, I wonder whether there might be any kind of tie-in with WWE, or is it going to be through AEW? Obviously, with the Von Erichs appearing this week, where are they going to try and get? Or they're just going to do no tie-ins at all because they don't want to be attached to that wrestling stuff. Who knows? But it's an interesting fix.
I think Nick Khan might have thought actually, this could be a goer, just because of. Like the simple perspective, we own the rights and everything else, and it's not WWE they're talking about. Obviously, it's world class. If it was Vince, it'd be absolutely not, because it shows wrestling in a negative light and nothing bad happens in this industry ever. So you're not going to have any aspect of that whatsoever in that case. But do I think I think it's going to be a kind of like what you think of like a mid-level hit, be the kind of film that does stick around. It will make its money back. I mean, whether or not it's going to lead to a kind of greater sense of like we might get a few more wrestling films, possibly. There's plenty of dramatic material that can be mined there for it, but I do like, I mean, it's something I'm definitely looking forward to, and you know, and but yeah, when it came to The Wrestler, which is the only other really comparison point of a film being made by a proper serious director about wrestling being told in a serious way, it feels like that, you know, for the most part, like WWE, they did the crossover almost just because they felt like they'd forced to. There was nowhere else that they could do it. So it was like, oh, we should do this, shouldn't we? And it was like, it felt ridiculous, you know. I don't know why Ring of Honor didn't do loads more.
Yeah, that would have been the one. Ring of Honor ring in the movie, and obviously a lot of stuff being filmed there. Very proud of that at a certain point. I love this, by the way. John Cena on his Instagram posting the Burberry scarf. He knows what he's fucking doing, doesn't he? As well as a picture of the Von Erichs earlier today as well. It's a great he's professional on Twitter, troll on Instagram is John Cena. But yeah, I did think as well. I mean, a lot of people pointed that out, but yeah, MJF did look like Cena's little brother in some of those photos. Good job. He's not working at a company where Vince is in charge anymore, because he'd be asked to put some lifts in those boots. I think, especially in the Baron Corbin photos as well. I'm glad
Fritz would have asked him to do that, wouldn't he?
Probably, yeah, but probably worse. But congrats, Max, on that. And yeah, it's a great segue into talking some AEW from the last week. And yeah, it's quite a newsworthy week. We've got a few different news points to get into. Obviously, you know, there's Tony Khan's ROH conference call is just wrapped up at a time of recording as well. We've got a big Dynamite on Wednesday, and the winter is coming there. Dynamite that's got a bit of a cracking lineup, and I've got to say, like, for two tape shows over the weekend, but Rampage and Collision were both very enjoyable, or at least the main event of Rampage was, and then the pretty much the bulk of Collision, probably the best Collision I can think of since at least the CM Punk days. Yeah, despite all the headlines being grabbed on the other channel, I thought it was a fundamentally good weekend for AEW, and there's plenty to chat, JP.
Yeah, I have. And I think the good thing is about, certainly with Collision as well, is as much, it's almost like it's a repetition of a point I made last week, but it's just how the Continental Classic has given it this kind of wrestling bedrock that forms like a good base of the show, which means there's less time for any of the stupid shit that they had been doing in recent months. And I think it was funny. I knew about the angle, but I'd managed to avoid spoilers and everything else. But I kind of liked how they did it, I have to say, seeing it in practice with the eye angle with Andrade and Bryan Danielson. I was like, okay. I thought Eddie Kingston Claudio was like, I mean, while I suppose not as like good or as big a match as what they had at Arthur Ashe, still thought it absolutely fit a purpose there as well. And I always tend to find this with Collision. I don't know what it is compared to Dynamite, but every time I watch Collision, I'm just like, it's really enjoyable. It just tends to be really enjoyable. I have to say, I haven't seen the Daniel Garcia match yet. That's the thing I haven't.
Oh no,
I haven't quite caught up on that, partly because I knew the spoiler and I was like, oh bloody hell! Like I was hoping.
You'd enjoy it. Garcia was back to what I think you used to like about him a while back. He felt, even down to the gear, he came out in the trunks with the towel. Like, it was very PWG,
Red Death.
You know, he's Red Death, basically, presentation of him. And he was a coupon buster for me, because I had him on. This was the one, I didn't know when the match was, obviously, because unfortunately we didn't get a schedule. But I thought his last match would be against Danielson, and he scrape a draw or something like that and get his respect. Instead, he kind of had to be like the valiant loser. But, like, you know, as far as, like, you know, hard hitting, you know, technical, the match you could imagine it would be in your head, Danielson and Daniel Garcia, I thought it was the best match of the weekend. I've seen people really rave about the Andrade match, but I thought it was better. I really liked it.
Okay.
I forgot that they were recorded. Obviously they were recording backwards order, weren't they? Which was unfortunate.
Got away with it though.
Mostly, although it was a little bit weird because it's like, well, hang on, didn't Azai get whatever? Okay, fine, I'll just go with it. He stayed away from the iron. It wasn't that type of match with Garcia, but it was fantastic, and it was exactly what Garcia should have been. Like, I thought the point from the start about putting a silly hat on Garcia was some way to tap into charisma. It was like, no, as Red Death and as this gobshite in the ROH Pure division who's a little bit too cocky and doesn't respect the rules and doesn't respect the history of it, like, they had something there, and that's the pair. Be the fucking same wrestler and bring that personality out. Instead, we had to go, and now it's turned to the story. Oh, he's a goofball, and it even played into the finish. He did his little dance, and he ran right into a knee from Danielson, and it was kind of the beginning of the end. Like, I know they're telling a story with that now, but obviously it wasn't the A plan when they first came up with this character, and that story with Jericho just never really came to any kind of conclusion, unfortunately. But I think the story they're telling now and this tournament has got to be a breakout for him. It's got to be, okay, let's get back to the drawing board. Do what you do well. Let's just turn the volume up. I'm not saying there isn't gigantic improvements he could make. Same with him and Wheeler. You said it. We can all see the potential. It's there for all to see, but you want to see him tap into, more a higher card act and bring out that side of him. But you're better off in slots like this, doing it with him, making him the heel worker of your mid card, and let's go from there. It was a really good time for him. Really, it was the most motivated I've seen him be, and I know that a lot of that's in character too. But yeah, it was great. I think you'd really dig it. As far as the match goes. Nothing else. You're not gonna waste your time watching Abaddon, mate, or the Don Callis family going through the motions against Chris Daniels and Matt Sydal. But that was genuinely great.
Okay, because I was thinking with Daniel Garcia, it's like, what would you do with him after this? And I kind of think he's kind of perfect to go for the TNT title, just in a lot of ways. That feels like what he should be doing, and ultimately he gets that, and he holds on to, and has doesn't have to have like a 2-year run with it or anything else like that, but just a substantial run with it to kind of prove, this guy is actually a player and he can get wins against a certain level of opponent, and he's on that cusp of being built up into the kind of like the bigger end as well.
Definitely. So yeah, it was a big highlight for me, that. And yeah, I thought, while I didn't rate it as highly, I thought the Andrade match on Collision was very good too. I thought, they told that story, as you say, with the eye well enough, and it allowed for, and I thought it was funny because the spoilers was a big talking point on the Discord earlier in the week, because people were like, well, should we talk about it? Because, it's a Collision that's not coming out to the weekend, but then there's this potential real life story with the Danielson injury that some of us got worked by, and it was just like, come on, it's wrestling in 2023. Let's talk about it. And then it really did make a difference, because in the moment in the match, I'd forgotten that Andrade went over. I'd forgotten that was, the story that that allowed him to get the win, and it made it believable. It was a great way to give Danielson a loss, who, let's all be honest, I don't think he's winning this thing. I think this is his brainchild, this entire tournament. So knowing the type of wrestler he is, maybe he'll make the semis, but he's not making the final. He's definitely not winning this thing either way. It was a great way to give Andrade some credibility. So I love that. To be honest, I love Kenny Omega versus Ethan Page in the middle of the card. That felt like a Continental Classic match. And again, it just begged the question, why on Dynamite this week is Kenny Omega doing a Golden Jet segment with Chris Jericho? Like, Danielson said that in an interview. He was like, I asked for Kenny for the tournament, and for whatever reason, it's not happening. And it was like, I know the reason. Same reason Kenny Omega's Takeshi feud got taken over by Chris Jericho and his fucking nonsense. Jericho wants to do a tag thing, or something happened with the Young Bucks and FTR. Whatever the reason is, something changed, and Kenny had to get pulled into a tag division that I don't think anyone necessarily wants to see him in. At this, we're going to be on into 2024, and Kenny Omega is going to be primarily a tag wrestler in AEW again. Let's hope it's short term, because this singles match was the Kenny I think we would have got in the tournament. Ethan Page isn't, I said to you, in theory, again, another TW reference. I played it in years, I don't know why it keeps coming up, but like, he'd have a 19 charisma and have great mic skills in theory, and his matches would be all right in theory, and then in practice it never really comes off. Good showing for him, really. And he's in there with Kenny Omega, so that probably says a lot. But yeah, I thought it was really good. Maybe, you know, I thought Big Bill attacked Kenny Omega was like, oh, maybe that's an interesting, different singles plan for Kenny Omega. But it's probably, you know, well, in fact, not even probably, it's definitely, you know, going to be part of the Jericho and being taken out by them story as well. And we're just building to a tag match. But I want to see that as a singles match more than I want to see the tag. But yeah, it was a reminder of how good Kenny is, and a reminder that, you know, it's like the casual fan banter before, like people who were just like, oh, you've got to protect Kenny, you can't give him too many matches, he's so brittle. It's like, even if he is, I mean, I could make a list of the matches he's had this year, and a match against Ethan Page. If I was told I could only have 12 matches a year with Kenny Omega, they'd all have importance and stakes, and I'd make sure, you know, 4 or 5 of the pay-per-views got one, and I'd make sure a few big Dynamites got one, and then I'd have a couple of throwaway ones in there. I don't think they use their Kenny Omega allowance to the best of their ability. So with that said, it was still good though. I still enjoyed it, and it's always a treat to see Kenny come out. But I just wish, he was in the tournament, to be honest, and I wish we were getting this. It's not a G1. He wouldn't have to land on his neck every week. Maybe he'd feel that pressure. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe he doesn't want to live up to G1 Kenny. But the level that we've got in the Continental Classic, I think he could have lived up to it and could have protected himself well enough. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
I'd be completely with you for that as well, and I think that was one of the issues. You had that glaring difference, and again, like I'd echo a lot of the thoughts about kind of like Ethan Page as well. Who, I mean, it's just the issue is there's so many people that he kind of has to get past to get to that point. But you can't say he's not putting in the effort, and it always was. Even the point where Big Bill came out, just the confidence and charisma shining through Big Bill at the minute is like, it's a joy to see, like, because he just feels like an absolute presence. It feels like, this is our proper monster now at this stage, and he's the monster who can deliver like really good promos as well at the same time. Like, there is something definitely there. It's just that in all of this, you've got the thing with Chris Jericho that kind of holds it all back, really. I could give less of a shit about the Golden Jets, honestly.
I would still
Golden
never
Jets
say
of
that.
Piss. Yeah.
Doesn't exist. I feel bad we turned that into negative because it was a good match. That was the thing about the show. 3 really good matches. That's what we should be talking about, the positive, because Andrade and Danielson as good as it was, Kenny Omega and Ethan Page as good as it was, neither were as good as what I thought was the match of Collision, which was Eddie Kingston and Claudio. Fucking love that. And again, you want to put over this tournament. You want to put over like the fact that it matters that Eddie Kingston stays in this, putting him in there against his, you know, most, maybe not famous rival, but most hated rival in Claudio, and having it. You've got to win, mate. You've got to win. They told that story so well. Kingston was so desperate. Claudio has the most personality he ever has when he's in there with Kingston, because he comes across as such a fucking cunt. Like he just looks down on Kingston and sees nothing in him, and it just makes you hate him. It makes you like, oh yeah, maybe he should be a heel rather than this weird mushy middle at the Blackpool Combat Club. He was fucking brilliant in this match, and Kingston's show was brilliant too. It was just them two. They're always great in there together, but the added, this is what tournament wrestling can do. This is what wrestling for points can do. Those points mattered like life and death to Eddie Kingston, and no one can put that over like him. He did it in the promo before the match. He did it by going straight to the ring and wanting to start the fight right away. I just thought it was great. Like, that was, if it wasn't for Kingston and Bryan, it might be match of the tournament for me. It's like the 1 and 2 at Eddie Kingston matches for me right now.
I think you made the point last week. It's just, this is a very, like, the simplest of stories, and this is when AEW and their storytelling, like, it's gone down some very weird paths this year, as we've pointed out pretty much every episode of Spotlight. However, for this, you've just nailed the simplicity of a story like this. In order to stay in the tournament, in order to keep his belts, he has to win every single match to the end.
Yep.
That's not complicated. Does it mean it's bad? No. Does it mean you have to put some weird bullshit into it? Absolutely not. You just keep it as it fucking is, and it makes complete sense. So, yeah, I'm not as high on. It's not a slight on the match necessarily, but like, you liked it more than what I did. But it just made me also then go, this is kind of why I like Collision in some ways. And again, you top and tail it with a couple of good matches. You got a good match in the middle. I also want to give a shout out. Like, I mean, there were things about Wardlow, Willie Mack that I even liked, like, I have to say, just in terms of like catching Willie Mack as he was trying to do a hurricanrana into him to lead into the powerbomb, because Willie Mack's a big fucking bloke. Like, and any of the kind of nonsense stuff in between was kept relatively short, and I think that just helped with the pacing of the show. And this is what this tournament has done.
Massive.
Where we go after World's End is going to be the real test, because that's setting up the stall for 2024.
It's been a gigantic band-aid on what was, I think we can all agree, maybe except Gareth, but he had his reasons, justified ones. You know, October TV was probably some of the worst AEW have ever put out. And it was because of that lack of quality control and just the amount of shite that they lumped onto the TV and the tone being off and all the reasons we said at the time. November was a bit more, it started to show, signs of getting back to at least partly the AEW we liked, along with the shite. This December, it's been a band-aid, this tournament. It's been, I should say plaster. I'm not American. What am I about? It's been a plaster, JP, that has stopped the fucking... I don't know, it's not what plasters do. It's been a bandage that stops the bleeding, and it's just like, yes, let's just fucking go back to basics and have wrestling matches, that's what it's taken. And I'm forgiven of the other stuff. Not that there was much of it on, this weekend's at least worth of product, but the overall product over the month has been massively helped by this. Who knows what we're in for in January, but right now, I'm happy. I've enjoyed the last 6 or so AEW shows, between Dynamite and Collision. Well, mate, right?
I'm also thinking of a conversation that you told us that you had with Seth, where you were going through the tiering system in AEW. And that's always been kind of an issue where you mentioned the mushy middle of that just being this gigantic mushy middle. What this has kind of created is a tiering system that you need when you're structuring your shows. And it's given you the idea of, these are the people we're kind of thinking of going into that upper mid-card kind of role. And it's ticking those boxes. And it just makes it kind of easier. It means that, even if somebody has 0 points or only 3 points at the end of it, you don't think of them as either completely fucking useless. It's like, well, no, actually, they've been in there against some of the top tier wrestlers in the promotion. Therefore, you kind of know where they stand. When even a Roosh, for example, we kind of have much more of a sense of, okay, we know where this person is. And that kind of clarity massively helps for your TV.
Definitely. And as Steph rightly says, it's giving them less time to waste on MJF, which is good. Although, the MJF stuff's been all right.
Didn't think of him at all watching Collision, which I think was just, that was lovely.
Worst MJF segment on the crappies. There we go. We could do that in the awards. What's the worst of the worst been this year? But yeah, I mean, speaking of MJF and speaking of, like I say, he was nowhere to be seen on Collision. To say what I did also enjoying Collision very quickly. Keith Lee and Shane Taylor sit down segment. Maybe invested in their match that I think they have not. They're pretending it was a year in the making. Tony can't remember last 3 weeks ago. We need a match. We did that at last year's final battle. Let's do them two singles match. Great. But the two of them told that story really well, and that's it. More of that, please. Very much enjoyed that. Felt bad for Daddy Magic and Cool Hand just losing in Montreal. Felt unnecessary. Felt very not AEW. Usually, I know you can't do it every time because then it's pointless, isn't it? If every babyface, well, they're not really babyfaces, are they? But every wrestler wins in their hometown, it becomes it's Bizarro Vince then, isn't it? Rather than everyone losing, everyone wins. It takes the stakes out a little bit. Well, there was no real reason that Penta and insert partner of the month needed to beat them, I don't think. Probably didn't need to. Save those for where it would make more story sense.
All I thought was, okay, if he's going to have a random lucha tag partner, if it's Vikingo, I get it, that you have to do a level of protection. If it's Commander, you pin him. If it's Gravity, you pin him. There isn't really any excuses for it.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's like, when the wrestler loses in the hometown, let's make it losing to someone who will get something out of it. Don't think those lads are getting that out of that. No. But anyway, Dynamite this week, to speak the Dynamite side of things. So we got Moxley versus Swerve, which was built up well last week in the Continental Classic. Very much excited for that.
Yeah.
Jay White versus Mark Briscoe in that match as well, in the tournament as well. And Roosh versus Jay Lethal, which I'm less into, but that's Jay Lethal in general. Again, like you said, there's got to be tiers to this. And I like that. I like that there's higher and lower in this tournament. Hangman Page v Roddy Stronger's on the show, so we'll see how serious Roddy Stronger's now taking things now we've got rid of the wheelchair. Riho versus Ruby Soho, with Rio coming back last week. Von Erich family in Dallas, that should be a hot segment. Always was whenever they did anything in TNA. Samoa Joe on the show, and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho as well. That is all we'll say. Yeah, very good card for Winter is Coming. I'm still shocked they didn't make a pay-per-view out of Winter is Coming.
Yeah.
There we go. Texas ticket sales are all right for it. Not amazing, but all right. Better than the Final Battle ones anyway.
This is the thing as well. Like we've said, this is that the business follows in terms of how good things are creatively. So you stay the course. If this is good TV, you stick with it, and you hope that basically there's enough goodwill from people that they go, actually, I'll give this another go. Apparently it's good these days, because they'll find murmurings of it. People who would have watched it and would have followed it on a reasonably regular basis would have gone to it and gone, okay, this is kind of interesting. So yeah, it'll carry on. It's unfortunately with Dynamite, it is the show where you're more likely to get a lot more bullshit. And it's how much bullshit are we going to be having thrown into the mix here as well. If the Devils are involved with the Von Erichs, then
again, those matches you list off, the fact that it says Samoa Joe and not MJF gives me some hope that this is going to be another solid show, at least from an in-ring point of view. Hangman Page on a Dynamite, I'll always take that. Swerve on a Dynamite against Moxley, that's got to be the main event. That's got to be great. Jay White and Mark Briscoe, again, the problem with the way they've laid the tournament with only 6 people in each block is Briscoe already being out. But would you believe anybody you could still pull that off as an underdog babyface who just wants to get that one win? I bet you he'll pull that off. Especially again, him and Jay, that's a good little match. Proper heel versus a proper babyface. By the way, and I'm sure it's none of our listeners, if you're any of those people who gave Mark Briscoe stick this week on Twitter for daring to take issue with WWE using the phrase "dem boys," just fuck off.
Fuck off.
Get in the real world. Look, even if Mark Briscoe's wrong, he should reserve the right to say what the fuck he wants on the anniversary of his brother dying. Like, if he wants to take issue with WWE using their nickname, then fucking let him. And WWE, can, and I know it was the Fox account, they can climb down. I bet you, I'm sure they had Dem Boys was used in Workaholics. It's a rap thing. It's been used in lots of other places. I understand, maybe Mark Briscoe's anger was misplaced, but just read the room and let him fucking have it. You know what I mean? Gobshites, a lot of them who were trying to make that a big talking point on Twitter last week. Probably got me angry that I hate that. Fucking yeah, Mark Briscoe, deserves the world. I'm glad he's getting his flowers at the minute. But that aside, looking forward to Dynamite. I don't know if you got any other notes on upcoming with AEW or any other news notes. Dolph Ziggler doesn't pop up. I can still be mean. Don't fucking Ziggler.
I want the people who
a hot news story right now. Apparently, Tony Khan's listening to people who are making pitches for him to come into AEW. Let's hope that turns out to not be true, mate.
Yeah, and I'm slightly fearful that it will be true in there, because it makes you the wonder of the people. They don't need him. He doesn't need to be there. If anything, for TNA doing their rebrand and their sort of relaunch in January, makes much more sense for them to kind of want him. They might have some perceived kind of value there as well. And multiple creative pitches. One of them is going to be CJ Perry's clients. Really? That's the best you've got? The kind of idea that I could come up in 5 minutes on the toilet, 3 minutes on the toilet, 30 seconds having a piss. That is the easiest fucking storyline in the world to be able to do. And it's no good at all. Old team with his brother and go, wow, that's some big creative thinking here about what you're going to do.
That makes sense, because his brother wasn't crap. His brother had anything to offer at all. I'd hear that out. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's a fresh way to present one of the most stale wrestlers on planet Earth in Dolph Ziggler. But it's not. It's just not, because his brother's crap too. So there we go. Sorry, I was nice for 2 minutes there because it was about Mark Briscoe. Back to being a cunt for likes and engagement. That's me.
And then the only other notes that I kind of had on there is, I think there was the financial estimate. I think WrestleNomics had it as 154 million this year in terms of them making, but it still means that they're kind of they're still not convinced that they're entirely profitable at this point in time. I wonder if Warner Brothers Discovery are taking note on that as well. So I think that's a kind of, but apparently the more money you earn, the more likely you are to watch AEW. Do you know what finished bottom of that list of companies in terms of how much money that you'd end up watching?
I remember it being something funny. Was it MLW?
Yep, that's exactly it. It was MLW. I thought, fucking God bless, Jesus Christ on a bike.
Oh, that's
but funny. Yeah, not surprised. But they don't need your money anymore, because they've settled their antitrust lawsuit, getting in that story that we had at the very end, getting in their antitrust lawsuit as well. They don't give a shit if you're earning 37,000 or 60 odd grand. They've done all right. They've made their deal. That's it.
Can't wait for for one or both sides to talk on that one. I want to know what led to that deal. Did Court make us millions? I can believe he probably did.
I fucking hope so. Honestly, to God, I really do. But yeah, it's like that financial position with to go back onto that point as well. That is going to be like running a wrestling company is really fucking expensive. Between all of the kind of factors of live TV and everything else, even the idea of them being able to kind of like gross 154 million, it gives you an idea into kind of the running costs of the company as well, which then leads into how important it is that in terms of the TV deal that they end up getting at the end. So yeah, it's
you'll get those millions for ROH one day, mate. Apparently, was asked that on the conference call that was happening while we've been recording. Apparently, somebody put it to him like, "Have you noticed, Tony, the way you vacated this belt and MJF and Samoa Joe got the tag belts and Samoa Joe's no longer TV champion and the pure title had to get changed and you don't really have to have." It was kind of politely put to him. You don't really, were these all plans with, when you got I say pay-per-view, it's fucking Honor Club exclusive on Fridays. It'll be good. We'll be previewing it on Thursday. Yeah. Special Thursday version of the weekend show this week. But yeah, let's get that albatross out of here. One thing I'll agree on Eric Bischoff on. I don't know. I don't see them ever making the millions on that. I think Joey Janela was right. Make it a Northeast Indie. Let's do that. At least make it something hot where you can send your young wrestlers. ROH is a TV product based on the deathly product it is right now. Not happening anytime soon.
You said it like, I think it was the time of relaunch, not doing it as a weekly TV show, doing it that had like kind of a special every couple of months and just had something like that to it as well. And then I'd almost go down like a completely different route of like making almost those countdown shows, which used to like, but I also used to like it when they did like kind of more reality based segments, like kind of following people training for an event. That would almost build into it like a UFC or using like what they used to do 24/7 for boxing, but something kind of different. It's just that Ring of Honor is formatted exactly the way as every other piece. It's formatted exactly the same way as Dark or Dark Elevation was, which doesn't make it like kind of remotely exciting to watch.
Because it's the same booker, and I know there are people out there that are going, "Oh, hang on, you wanted Tony Khan to devolve power, and they gave it to Jimmy Jacobs, and you're still moaning that it's like, yeah, I don't want him to. If he's going to devolve power, he could give it to a toddler. I don't want him to. Devolve power to somebody who knows what they're doing. I think that goes without saying. Do that, and then we will judge the product based on what it is. Let's hope he put it in the hands of somebody who knew what they were doing. I'm sure Gabe Sapolsky was available at the time he bought ROH, not anymore. But there's somebody surely out there who's got a great booker man he could give ROH to, and just because that's the thing, they've decided that taping it after Dynamite in front of half-empty, dead crowds is the way to sell it to a big TV network. And maybe Tony Khan does know more than me about doing that. But I think that business plan has kind of come apart now when it's like the tapings are this dead and it is this cold as a product. Like, that's not going to work either, as much as I understand why you need to put arena shows in front of TV executives. Like, that's probably not the route for this. I think hopefully we'll talk Final Battle, obviously, at some point. I don't know when, but when we do talk it, I imagine that'll be, what next for ROH as, hopefully some people start pushing them more on these conference calls on stuff like that. But yeah, on that note, unless there's anything else AEW ROH adjacent, we get into the rest of the stuff we've been watching this week. Bit of a wild mix. This JP, bit of a NXT Deadline. I did manage to get to see TNA's Final Destination show. I don't know much of that. You saw yourself. Saw the Tag League final. We can talk some of that. Bit of All Japan, like you said. Bit of I did watch Raw and SmackDown, but I don't say that for the last 2 minutes as far as the content goes outside of CM Punk. Don't have much to say there. Sorry, Matty. But yeah, do you want to circle back around to Deadline? Did you have much to say about the rest of that show outside of the very brief appearance of Pepsi Phil?
Well, I mean, it's almost like there's one match I'd like to go to, and it's almost like I'd like to eat a little bit of humble pie. So I'm sure I find it very hard to believe that at some stage I wouldn't have slagged off the whole idea of the Iron Survivor Challenge. But I have to say, and this has been like, I'm following the kind of general consensus for this, I really enjoyed the men's Iron Survivor match with you know, in the case of some people I don't really care about. I've never seen like Bron Breakker as a look and not much else. Looking at like, you know, kind of like a Dijak who appears to have been in storage and is brought out occasionally. Josh Briggs, I know nothing about, other than I read his name every once in a while. Trick Williams, who people are keen on, but I just, last time I'd seen him wrestle, he looked very, very green. I think it was against Dominic Mysterio. And Tyler Bate, who's brought in there to be the bloke who can work, who's little and at least because all the other blokes are quite big, basically. But this was a lot of fun. And it's probably about as much fun as this version of NXT is going to provide. And it was like, I don't know if you saw this. There was loads and loads of falls. The way that it set it up was a bit hokey at the end, with Trick Williams getting basically it came from 0 to win by 1 point because he got all the points in the end. And it's a weird way that the match works. It's awful. It's like it should be King of the Mountain. It should be terrible for the concept because, you know, 2 people come in and then if you pin someone, the person you pin goes into a penalty box, you get 1 point, and then the people who come in later, they're more rested. So I know it's awful me explaining it, but weirdly, when you watch this, like this particular one, it does kind of work. And it meant that you had like kind of spots when Bron Breakker came in and he just started spearing people and looking like a killer. And I thought, this is as good as I've ever seen him, really, because he's kind of well hidden away and he was easily able to get pins and the rest of it as well. And I thought it was like a hell of a lot of fun. The crowd love Trick Williams. And again, probably like 5,500 there for this. It's not to be sniffed at, the kind of numbers that they're doing on the road for NXT as a brand.
Well, I was going to say, I've been to this venue, the Total Mojo Arena in Bridgeport, and I went to Dynamite, and this was, Punk was still Double or Nothing.
Was it the really cold venue?
Last year it was, yeah, it was fucking freezing. But that was because it was so empty. There's fucking no one there. We went, like, it was horrendous. It was just like, and again, this was Double or Nothing weekend when you would have thought like it would have been big, and it was, you know, at a time when AEW was still a warm / hot product. It was proper shocking to go to that venue and just be like, fucking hell, you know, it's become commonplace now. The picture that ends up on Twitter of half the arena curtained off. It was, for anyone posting that picture of Deadline this weekend, it was way worse when AEW were there. I hate the way it comes AEW versus WWE, but like they're both guilty of doing that. But like Deadline, genuinely, like, yeah, 5,000 odd was way more than I think it was more than the 3,000 range when I went to see a Dynamite there. So shows there's a hell, like, it's not for me at all, NXT at all. It feels like all of like the proper YouTubers, JP, on like me and you are out there, you know. They all seem to love it. Like anyone like that, like any wrestling media type person, just fucking loves NXT, and I can't. It's the presentation. I can't stand it. I just don't enjoy it. It's for the youngs, maybe that's what it is. But it's just filled with a lot of people I don't really enjoy too, which doesn't help. But yeah, Deadline, like I say, I watched it mainly for the Punk and Shawn bit. You know, enjoyed that. I'll agree with you. I think that, you know, for a very TNA gimmick as a match, I think it does work. And I do think, you know, the men's Iron Survivor was probably better than the women's, I would say, mainly because they had that creative last minute where, you know, like you said, Trick had to come back and get the falls in very quick succession and turn the whole thing on its head. It showed there's a creative way to do those matches. I don't think anyone particularly in the match stood out. Maybe him more than anybody in there. It was mad to see Tyler Bate still a thing. We'll be talking about his old tag team partner in a bit as well. Jack's still knocking around too. But mostly I was like, oh yeah, you can actually do, for a very TNA adjacent idea, you can throw some good ideas on that match.
Yeah.
Definitely better than the one that Blair Davenport won. Thought Dragon Lee and Dominic Mysterio was solid enough. Enjoyed that. I'm one of the people who will enjoy Dominic Mysterio versus CM Punk. Call it ironic joy. But I do get a kick out of like how much of a heel he is in front of these crowds. I thought he was with Rey Mysterio on commentary as well. Thought it was well done. It strongly put Dragon Lee over, and they'll carry it over to the main roster as well. I thought that was good. Quite enjoyed that, but overall, yeah, the presentation of it isn't really for me. So wasn't as into the other Iron Survivor match. Wasn't massively into Carmelo Hayes and the former Brian Pillman Jr. who just feels like
that was boring.
They're already fed up with him, like they're already done.
Yeah, he's not a very good wrestler. I think that's the lesson they learned
out
of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was something about him being angry that is the people who like him will call themselves registered Lex offenders, which as an offensive joke is kind of vaguely funny.
Jesus Christ.
But I don't know, like, if that is the kind of thing you want to have going around with you as well. I think you're
something like that, mate. Get banned from Progress for saying that.
Exactly, trying to fucking distance. But that match, I mean, like, you know, this is a crowd that's probably predisposed to like Carmelo Hayes, but fuck me, was I bored watching this as well. And he lost clean. And he said, I got the PLE spotlight, and you're like, did you?
Got no hope for him there.
Did you really? Yeah, there's none. There's nothing there for him. Just call him Brian Pillman Jr. and have done with it.
I thought Ilya Baron Corbin was all right as a main event. Ilya, you know, is great. We know that, and we love Ilya. And fuck me, is his offense fucking for WWE? Like that fucking forearm he does to the floored opponent. That's fucking scary. Like it proper looks horrible when he does it. And yeah, all of us, he's still the same Ilya. If maybe you know the amateur dramatics he learned in Progress have definitely carried over to his NXT career. But yeah, I enjoyed him, even if I thought the match with Baron Corbin wasn't up to much. And that was about it, really, as far as Deadline. It was a show for me. It was all right.
Yeah, it's these are the only points where we ever kind of really look at NXT and we see where they are. Are they better than where they were last year? Definitely. Like, have people gotten better? Is there more of a structure to it? Yeah. Is there still so much stuff that's like really like performative, where they produce their wrestlers such a cookie cutter way? Like when you saw the people in the breakout tournament, it's just like a series of stereotypes, really, that they've sort of thrown into the mix.
Demos are up, audiences are up. I know it's a lot of that putting the main roster people on there, but something about it's working. Credit to, Shawn Michaels is a babyface again in my house. Credit to him. They've done something that's working.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be for us. How many times have we said that over the years on the podcast, you know?
Well, I think the thing that it's always going to have is that when people get moved up, and there's a story, obviously, with Carmelo Hayes is going to be in the US title tournament, I think, that they're going to be doing. And I think the way that people are going to be elevated, now he's not going to be winning it, and they'll play it into the storyline when eventually he turns on Trick Williams, which was very much foreshadowed at the end of this. But it feels like the joining the dots between NXT and main roster is a lot clearer now. And it's not, people aren't going to be forgotten. If they moved up, there's going to be advanced notice of it, simply because you've got Triple H and Shawn Michaels working together in terms of being able to plot out, okay, these are the people you should take up. You should bring up this person out. Here's a way of doing it. Exactly. Just a bit of joined up thinking, which is just basic communication, which when you're dealing with Vince, you're never going to get any semblance of that whatsoever.
Definitely. Well, was TNA's Final Destination any better, JP? Speaking of stuff we parachute in on the biggest shows, but they're very much a promotion that's on the you know, we're on all these. We've got Out of Office on, and we'll be back in January. Come watch us then. Okada's coming. Isn't that exciting? Trent Seven's coming. Isn't that exciting? Don't know if you got anything to say about it.
Oh no, God no! Like it was on. It was there, and it was a series. It felt like we have to do one more Impact show before we get into the properly doing the TNA stuff. So, like with this, it was a series of absolutely bang average matches in front of quite a small crowd. So it felt very Impact Wrestling, with a weird main event of Josh Alexander and Zack Sabre Jr. defeating the Motor City Machine Guns, which obviously I think is leading to Josh Alexander being like, you know, coming to win the title and stuff like that. But really outside of that, it was just like a kind of weird mishmash. Like, I mean, when I started watching this show and I saw the countdown, I was like, who's Clutch Jesse, who was wrestling PCO? No idea. Who's Jack Price, other than an old boss of mine I don't like? No idea. Aiden Prince? No. I was like, who are... I don't even know Sheldon Jean is, and again, that's the name we read up most week on there. But it just felt like, okay, we're saving our big stuff for January, because that's when they have to save it. So they were doing this kind of because they had to. And so, like, when it comes to like a lot of these TNA shows, we've kind of thought, okay, it normally has like the staples of how we break them down. Like there'd be like a good women's match and a good X Division match and a good tag team match. And this one really kind of didn't have like any of those bits per se. It was very much like just a show and nothing to get like kind of too excited about. Other than obviously the one big news talking point from the whole show, Benno, which was, we didn't get Mike Bailey versus Trey Miguel as we'd previewed on the weekend show. Oh no, we got a tag match. We had the Rascals. And naturally, when you think, well, who's Mike Bailey going to team with? Is it going to be Mal from who he wrestled with in DDT? That would kind of make sense. Yeah. No, they didn't do that. Instead, they brought in Trent Seven, who after the match, he was officially like Scott D'Amore came to the ring and offered a contract to him, and he signed it. So Trent Seven is now in TNA, which, you know, on the back, we're speaking about it, you know, for those of you who haven't known, we spoke about North Wrestling on Leon Slater, and I've managed to, you know, chat to him a bit about like where he's going to be in TNA and the rest of it. I did find it kind of interesting because I could see
it's a good spot for him.
It is a good spot for him. For
it's
what
weird.
they
I'd like to
want.
see. There's a young vets. We talked about it on the pre-show. Like, where do they land? Like, I don't know. I think they're too big for the Brit-Res shows they're working. I think, with respect, too big for North. You know, too big for those shows. Rev Pro is probably as good as it gets in this country. No, definitely is. They're probably too big for that too. But they're probably not going to get signed by AEW or WWE. TNA might end up being a reasonable. You know, they probably do want to stock up on British wrestlers because I bet they're going to come back here lots next year.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. Trent, if they sign them to, add them to Leon Slater, that's a good core of British talent to have. And we can all say what we want about Trent these days. You know, I haven't necessarily loved him in Rev Pro. Matty did, though. Maybe that says something. You know, there's a type of fan who are going to be more into a Trent than we are. And, you know, we were at one point into Trent. We can't lie. I think somebody said that on the Discord this week. You know, we've all had there was a moment. It was a while ago. It's like Tyler Bate, you know. It feels like 67 years ago when you look at the Tyler Bate that appears on NXT now, but once upon a time we did rate them.
He looks like it was 67 years ago. I'm sure he was a fucking child when we saw him starting wrestling, but Christ.
But I don't mind. I think that's fine. That's a fair pickup. It was funny in the interview he did where he was like, "Oh, you know, it's not exclusive though. I can still work everywhere else." It's like, "Oh, all right, yeah, make sure you get that in, mate." I mean, that's true of everyone in TNA. Otherwise, again, this would have been talking about. That's the type of it's the benefit of signing with TNA. You can be a Leon Slater and you can still go off and work other places. Sounds like he's going to carry on doing North based on our experience at the weekend. Again, listen to the pre-show if you want to hear our review of that. Spoiler: his match with Rio was fucking great, and he's very clearly the star of Brit-Res right now as Leon Slater. It was good to know that he's still going to be around next year because that wasn't a given, and TNA can offer that. I think it's a good place in the market to be.
I think it is, and I think it's just because they're in the come up, and like I say, for the January show, they got Will Ospreay and Okada on there, which maybe the last time they'll ever get to use those two. Like it, given you know all the obviously with Ospreay signing with AEW, I think that
they need it.
They do need it. And they need that kind of G up, but also having that strategy of actually what we're going to do is we're going to get in a few like British wrestlers, we're going to make them a focal point. The idea that they're going to look to come over here to tape lots of TV next year and tape a couple of their big specials and the rest of it. And it's an easy thing to do. And you want to be putting Trent Seven doing radio interviews and the like, don't you? You want to be able to have that him doing local press if they can organize those kind of things together. So for them it's a good move. It's relatively like cost effective. It fits within their budget and it ticks the boxes of what they want to do. And TNA has proven itself over this last year, and I'd say even over the last couple of years, proven themselves to be the place where they just know how to use what they have to the best of their abilities without doing anything completely daft with them.
I'm low-key excited for it next year. I'm not, you know, it's not going to be a massive part of my watching. I don't think. I can't see that habit changing, but maybe it will. You know, maybe it will next year. If the
get that challenge deal back, mate.
No, they'll be right into it then. Get them back in the Manchester Arena. Then we're then we're cooking diesel, as you say, sucking diesel. Sorry, not cooking diesel. Why would you cook diesel?
Should be booking diesel. Get Big Kev over as well, doing commentary. Always missed a trick on that.
He was fucking brilliant on his podcast last week. He was talking about CM Punk and he literally just threw Triple H under the bus. He was like, yeah, you know, back in the day when I was supposed to face Phil on pay-per-view, he'd been pissing Paul off. So Paul came over and was like, you're not wrestling him anymore, Kev, mate. I'm just going to beat him instead. And Kev was like, okay, fair enough. I was like, we all knew that was happening. All of us on the message boards, we knew. on the UK Fan Forum, on Death Valley Driver, wherever you messaged for the choice was, we fucking knew that was what was happening to CM Punk, and there we go. It's been proven. What's another original?
Best mates now, mate. He said, "I'm sorry." What more does he want?
Match could still happen, couldn't it? That's another thing. What's he fucking saying sorry for? Anyway, I've let it go. I've moved on. Acceptance, JP. We're moving on. Yeah, I like to see on X though. We got New Japan. We've all been big fans of the tag league, JP. Is this going to be a 15-minute moan about the New Japan world? Because it probably should be. Tried to log into that today, JP, and try and get a casting. We've been fucking hell. It was a struggle. We're better off watching fucking trying to get on terrestrial telly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what a disaster that new website is. Like, if you're really into, what did you say, season 9,
season 17, episode 9. Yeah,
of New Japan. That's what tag
season
is,
1, episode 1. Fucking Inoki. Is that where we are? I don't know.
I kept playing the first episode and I kept going, have I got the wrong date? Because all the matches are split up as well. So it's not like, at least my experience, I could be wrong, but I couldn't get it to play the full show. It kept wanting to play. You go through the seasons and the episodes, and it's individual matches. And I was so confused because I was fast forwarding through going, okay, where's the main event? Oh, this has all been the main event because it's all one file. What? And I also, at one point I had the English commentary, I'm pretty sure. Then I ended up on Japanese commentary and couldn't get off. Maybe I imagined that there was English commentary.
I couldn't even find that, mate.
It's like the last 3 years they've been on a mission to drive off every international fan, and this is just another element of it. I believe the main event was good, but we did not make it. You jump through hoops to watch. I know that was your experience as well.
It was. I mean, it really was, because I kept on, anytime I put it on, all I could see was Taguchi doing his arse attack to some big bloke I've never seen wrestle before. He just appeared. I was like, who's this? I've no idea. What the hell am I watching? And I realized I watched 2 minutes of this. And I was like, why am I watching? We're never going to, well, I've talked about it now. I didn't expect to in any way, shape or form, and not in any positive sense. So when I did manage to get round to the final, which I saw with Japanese commentary, which is fine because we've all listened to Japanese commentary for
I'm uncivilized
amount of times.
It loses.
We're spoiled these days.
Yeah.
But
as much as I ever go, Chris Charlton, I'll take that over Martin.
It kind of would have helped, really, but it's just that this tournament didn't feel. It always pisses me off because there are loads of interesting things they could do for Tag League if they gave a single solitary shit about tag team wrestling, which they don't. Because then, this is always what New Japan does. They have a tag team, they're really into them, and that's who they go with. The end. And it was Guerrillas of Destiny for a while. Now it's Bishamon here. And we're seeing the kind of merging of the New Japan strong titles eventually. In terms of the match itself, I started watching it and I was like, okay, there's some decent enough stuff here. My only grievance with it is it's not like it's a bad match, but it's 40 fucking minutes for this. 40, that's just too much. Too much. You're shaving 15, 20 off that. It's ridiculous. And it was set up the way you would do with ELP doing the bulk of the work for his team, Hikuleo looking like a monster, having some kind of double moves with him as the kind of flippy guy alongside the kind of big bloke who chucks him around the place. I mean, but is he Big Bill? Absolutely not, Hikuleo. Not in any way, shape or form. Doesn't have that kind of charisma. And Bishamon won, who are already tag team champions. And at the end of it, who are they wrestling at the at fucking Tokyo Dome? It's ELP and Hikuleo, where they're going to be doing clearly a merging of the titles with New Japan Strong.
I was so confused by that. I was doing the Monday update, which is free on the Patreon now, given the results, and I was like, okay, so this has set up the WrestleKingdom match, and I re-recorded the story multiple times because I was like, okay, so Bishamon won, so now the challenge. No, they already are the champions. And I kept fucking up, and then I realized, no, that's literally what happened. They won the tournament and they beat the number one contenders, who they're now going to face at WrestleKingdom. Have I understood the story? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. All to get back the New Japan Strong titles as well. But that was the story. You've not got that wrong in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, that's the
bit I kept messing up. The two belts. Yeah.
And it kind of brought up the broader conversation of the potential for a tag league is to have loads of these interesting teams come into the mix. You kind of think of and I shouldn't do this. We were talking about golden eras of like kind of G1s and the rest of it, where they threw in a few wild cards who just made the thing as a different kind of tournament, like a Marufuji or a Nakajima or a Hangman Page, who just kind of put something different into it. And you thought, okay, this is there. And they have the potential to do this with all of the contacts they have and all the possible tag teams around the world they could use. And instead, where do we end up? We end up in a really still kind of stale direction. Could have Gabriel Kidd and Alex Coughlin, War Dogs, done something different and just gone with them, gone with a couple of kind of young guys. And instead, it doesn't feel like kind of remotely exciting. I kind of expect ELP and Hikuleo to beat them at the Dome, but I don't really care.
No, I was going to say, you're losing me.
You can do it. Yeah, but I'm gone. And then there are other like kind of weird like decisions, just to lead on to kind of another story where they've introduced now the IWGP Global Championship. You'd almost say like another world for global is world, wouldn't you? Which is a title they already have. Because they merged the... if there is a worst move that they made, it was that merging those title belts. Like, was just the worst move, because then when Kota Ibushi did it, they gave him a shit title. They got rid of what looked like the classic design of the IWGP belt, gave him this shit one in between. They took away the secondary title that they'd used to headline loads of shows that they could kind of switch around a bit as well, you know, while the world champion was always kind of kept strong, but it always had like at least some kind of prestige to it. Now it's just like trying to go back to it, but being too stubborn to admit that merging the Intercontinental title was a good idea. And they could have just called it that instead. So we're bringing back the Intercontinental title and just bring back the old belt. And in which case, the last few years have been a waste of time. It's kind of like Bobby Ewing appearing in the shower in Dallas when you think he's kind of fucking murdered, because you just realize, yeah, we fucked up this year. So we're just going to pretend that none of this actually happened. And Bobby Ewing didn't die. And instead he was alive all along. But now we've got this other belt here, which David Finlay is going to be the one who wins this, because Ospreay's leaving, Moxley's not going to be around, and so it's, and again, I think
we'll clearly, I'm sure, you know, as much as the Christmas schedule's messing things up, because Christmas Day and Boxing Day fall on Monday, Tuesday, and then New Year's is a bit of a problem, and then it's WrestleKingdom on the 4th on the Thursday, so we'll be right after a Monday where we'll be reviewing the AEW pay-per-view, because that's happening on New Year's weekend. How the fuck when you get all these shows?
I don't know.
We'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll give it the proper preview at some point, but I do not give one solitary fuck about Wrestle Kingdom. I'm getting bored even talking about them, and that's mad, because like AEW isn't the reason we stopped talking about Brit Res. The reason on Indie Corner we stopped covering Brit Res is because we started covering New Japan, and we're doing G1 podcasts, which led to talking other stuff outside of the British sphere, because we were that invested in it. We did full every match of G1 reviews, every single one, and I get annoyed if we skip one and make us go back and do it. Like, that's how into it I was at one point. Don't give a solitary fuck about this company anymore. Card looks all right though, looks fine. Like, Card Danielson wasn't great at AEW. I've got faith it'll be better this time out. As much as the belt stuff wacky, Ospreay, Moxley, David Finlay, and David Finlay even being in there, unless it's for him to get a big win, just seems odd, but I'm sure that'll be good. You know, Hiromu versus Despy, that's always good. Some all right stuff in there, isn't it? Zack Sabre, Hiroshi Tanahashi, I feel like I've seen that 400 times, but I suppose. I'm not mentioning Sonata versus Naito here, which is the main event, but, you know, there's a reason for that, which might explain my overall lack of care of this company, but
I don't know if they care about it.
AJP, don't find it interesting at all.
No.
Boring, innit? Talk about it. Sorry.
You've seen all of these matches. Obviously not the three-way with Ospreay, Moxley, and Finlay, but they've even done Ospreay versus Moxley, but they've not done it on a big stage, so that would have been an interesting white direction to go in. And then just hotshot it onto Finlay afterwards on the next month's show. Didn't need to be like that complex. But that's the problem with it, is this is where we get into the booking. It's just kind of, it's very stale. They don't really have properly fresh ideas now. And I think the problem is, for the last couple of years, is okay, they have got these young lads. They could throw them into the mix. I think they will do with Yota Tsuji quicker than the others, that they could do it. but it needs just an overall reshaping of all of the kind of wrestlers and where they are. The stables are stale. These feel like very old-fashioned complaints. And I just look at this card and it's like, I'm tired of thinking when it hits Wrestle Kingdom, okay, after this, we're going to get the big reset and we're going to get the really interesting stuff happen and we're going to get New Japan going, okay, now we've got this whole new crop of people that we're going to be kind of going with, because that's generally when they've been at their best in recent years, is when they've been forced into these positions. And we spoke about it with Okada, like possibly leaving, and you think, well, yeah, he's done everything he can do there and he can cash in now for the like really big money. It's like, well, and in some ways, I think that's not a bad thing for them to do, because it stops them falling on the, Naito's just doesn't look like he's going to be able to wrestle for much longer. The Sonata run's been a bust. Like it's not been good, other than those people who are invested in a storyline that should have ended close to 5 years ago. Like outside of that, like you keep and think, oh, something's good's going to happen, and it doesn't get delivered. It's, to use an Americanism, it's Lucy putting the football away from Charlie Brown. But yeah, otherwise it's just like, all right, just wake me up at the G1. Who's going to be interesting in that?
Yeah.
No,
I watch WrestleKingdom, I'll watch the G1. They've lost me, I think, at this point. It's an uphill battle to get me back. Maybe they start doing the right things to get us there, but yeah, wake me up when that happens. And also New Japan wrestlers are going to be on Noah's the New Year, so at least there's no fake Wrestle Kingdom happening this year where they pretend it's one and then charge 50 quid for it on New Japan World. They probably just can't. They probably figured out on that New Japan World we can't figure out how to do that. So it's fucking shit.
You'll end up watching fucking some Wrestle Kingdom from 10 years ago instead of that as well. Yeah, but it's and it's
watching any
usual.
Tag League, JP?
Well, I did see as a match. Okay, so I did manage to see, because there's been like quite recently a lot of talk about All Japan, and I suppose it's kind of less about the match, because I have to say, like, I know I'd kind of listened to a few people talking about it. I listened to voices talking about it in terms of they've been following the tournament a lot more than what I had. And it was Hokuto Omori and Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Kento Miyahara and Yuma Aoyagi. And it was, this is from their like tag league final. And it was a good match. I wouldn't say it was great or anything necessarily along those lines. The winners were Hokuto Omori and Nakajima won, and Omori got the deciding pin, which felt like kind of a big deal. And I think the storyline was Nakajima didn't want to team with this young boy, so they created this kind of like fucking like slight anger there as well. But it's more, I suppose, in that it's more the attendance as much as anything. Now, we're used to All Japan wrestling and what feels like 50 odd fucking people. And here it was 1,443 at Korakuen, which they haven't done. They don't do any kind of like big numbers. And it feels like with Nakajima that they've kind of managed to kind of G up interest. And I think between that, the rivalry with Miyahara, the Yuma Aoyagi title run, the fact that they've got a few more younger wrestlers like kind of around the place, that it feels like they've livened things up. And then Alan Farrell, who's always ahead of the curve on this type of stuff, he was saying, like, halfway through the year, it's like, need to be watching All Japan. That's where there's some interesting stuff going on. And clearly from a business perspective for them, when, Noah it feels like it struggles to do 1,000. And you think of how much they pay for like English commentators and 4K cameras and the rest of it as well. Here, they're actually kind of bread and butter kind of basics of wrestling built around, at this point, what feel like 3 stars in Nakajima, Kento, and Yuma Aoyagi, with some younger undercard guys in Hokuto Omori, Yuma Anzai. I think there was Naora Nomura. There's 2 Nomuras who are there as well. And they've got a few people in like that. And it seems to have caught on, at least sort of in Japan and in a small way. And it's always a good thing, even from like a historic perspective, to have a kind of relatively strong All Japan. And I don't know how long Nakajima is necessarily there for, because I think he's having a match against Kento Miyahara, I think on New Year's Eve. and that's for the Triple Crown. And then the winner of that faces someone on their show they do on the 3rd of January. And like, it at least creates a bit of interest where I'm thinking, yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this. And the big matches, I'm gonna, you can find them very easily. You don't need to download anything. You can find this kind of stuff
YouTube
up there on YouTube. Is your friend very much for this one.
Might be in the show notes there if anyone's a patron. You might, might find it.
But what they're doing is they've kind of got their ducks in a row. It's amazing what happens when you get a promotion who invest in a bit of youth, spend that bit of time, decides, actually, we're just going to book in a kind of relatively sane, sensible ways, use bigger stars to make them into something. And then also their two most established stars in Nakajima and Kento have this long-running feud. And they had that brilliant match before in Noah. And I'm expecting the match on New Year's Eve it could arguably end up being the best match of the whole kind of this period of Japan going from December into January. So yeah, I think this is going to be something that is like definitely like it's a promotion to keep an eye on for 2024, but it's good things.
Good stuff. Anything else you've been watching?
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
That was it, really. We had another decent Drew match. Gareth won't like hearing that against Jey Uso. Good back and forth promo to that. He's a very interesting. I like the Drew character right now, doing the whole. He's almost devil's advocate, tweener, Kevin Nash in '96 type of thing. He's doing it well. 2 weeks in a row as well. I enjoyed the match with Sami Zayn last week.
I like how he carries himself.
Yeah, watch that. Watch the Punk promo. You don't need to see the rest of the 3-hour Raw and SmackDown as well. Last week I watched that, obviously, with the Punk segment. But yeah, not much to write home about there from a match point of view. But I thought Randy Orton and LA Knight against the very quickly dwindling numbers of the Bloodline was a good baby faces over type of match that had a really decent quarter hour, similar to the Punk quarter hour, to be honest. Randy Orton might be a draw. We should ask the people on the streets of Newcastle. Maybe they'll know. Kind of it's working right now anyway while he's fresh and he's back. But yeah, that was all right, but not really not one I'd say to chase up. Roman Reigns is back next week. Maybe we'll chat that at some point as well. But yeah, next week won't be the usual spotlight. We'll be out the normal. What has become the normal day as we record on Tuesday nights for the majority of the last couple of months. But yeah, it will be the GRAPPY Awards coming out next week. We'll be putting the year in the rear view, talking the best and then the worst of the year on the GRAPPY Awards, which will be exclusive to the Patreon and YouTube members. Great time to take a trial, I would say, or to give us a shot and see what you think of what we hate of the year. And yeah, obviously, as we talked at the top of the show, Christmas Film Club will be coming. We'll be doing our annual review of a Christmas film rather than a wrestling film. So yeah, look forward to that. Power Slam yearbook we'll be talking on. Observe this as well this week. Retro, as we mentioned, weekend show on Thursday. All kinds of stuff going on. Basically, we're squashing all of our content into the next couple of weeks, but give plenty of stuff for people to listen to over the period. And then yeah, obviously we're back with the Ask Grapple version of Spotlight Christmas week as well. All kinds going on.
And you're going to be, you mentioned it earlier on as well, on Poison Run as the big fat quiz of the year.
Definitely.
I'm really looking
that week, but I don't think the other one's been announced yet, so I'll wait. But something fun for Christmas, something I like talking about.
Yes,
I'll be doing. But yeah, I've got like honestly Monday to next week, which is Christmas week pretty much because Christmas Eve's on the Sunday. Like I've got like 2 podcasts a day for 4 days, the 5 days of the week, including possibly one on the 5th day, depending on what we do with weekend show. We'll preview Christmas, mate. That's what we'll do, just to give me the next week. But yeah,
preview the lack of presents that you haven't managed to get because you've been recording podcasts.
I'll probably be sorted by then. No, actually, I won't. But I'll be close. We'll get there. But yeah, I think that's it. Really, anything else, JP?
No, that's it. All roads lead to patreon.com/grapple or go to the Grapple YouTube, youtube.com/@grapple. YouTube's going to YouTube. Again, all of this great content. Just to again mention, we're going to be doing the weekend show on Thursday this week as well. But yeah, we've got loads and loads of great stuff coming into that, and then leading into like a big January as well. But I think every month is like a kind of a big month. And I know Matty pointed out that reasonably soon we're going to be working our way back around a dealer's choice, which seems mental because I'm sure we did that 5 minutes ago. and that I find as a terrifying thought. But yeah, if you're not already a subscriber, what a great gift you could give to a loved one than a Patreon subscription to us and us talking shit really about wrestling week on week. Primarily Phil Brooks, because that seems to be how it is. It's his world, mate, and we're just fucking living in it. But yeah, I'll plug it again. Patreon.com/grapple. I felt like I was going to start plugging Mr. Plow there for a second. I don't know why. That name again is Grapple Patreon.
There you go. YouTube.com/@grapple as well. You can subscribe there. Like I say, we had a couple of new YouTube subscribers. So yeah, please, might be an alternative way for you to get our bonus content. Consider that too. But it's a little bit cheaper too. Just throwing it out there with it only being video. So there you go. Check that out. But yeah, on that note, we'll be back next week for the GRAPPY Awards. That'll be next Tuesday. GRAPPY Awards for patrons, and the week after, week of Christmas, Ask Grapple, which I think is going to be on the Wednesday with Christmas and Boxing Day, maybe Monday, Tuesday. But keep an eye on the schedule. We'll figure that out. But yeah, wrestling doesn't stop, so neither do we. But yeah, we'll catch you all for all that content. We'll see you next week for the Grappies. But yeah, go forth. Have a great week, folks, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Good night.